Is there anything to add or amendments to the agenda?
Better not be.
Anything we can take off of it?
Would like to. I make a motion to accept the agenda as written.
Yeah, there were deletions on there, so if anybody's here for those certificate of compliance ones, they won't be heard tonight.
So for 100 Greenfield Lane, 70 Crescent, 23 Parker, 94 Glades, Lot 4, 174 Branch Street. Those are off the
Well,
table.
the ones that have a line, there's some that have a line through them.
Those are the ones I just read.
Okay,
Okay.
but there'll be discussion on two of those, but there won't be a vote.
Just trying to make things more complicated? or-
Yeah.
So I make a motion, we accept the agenda with those deleted.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
An RDA,
Let's do the rec department.
yeah.
Yeah.
Get them in. and
Scituate
out.
Rec Department, 15 Henry Turner Bailey Road, playground continued. What do we have back from, was it National Heritage? Natural Heritage.
Yeah.
And what's the verdict?
Laura, you're all dressed up.
Said that there's no habitat area in the parking
Oh.
lot or on a mowed playground area, so it's one of those things, when they draw the map, they draw the circle, and then they said that in that case, it's in error for that area to be in it.
Okay. Good evening. Just for the record, you want to state you're both...
Al Kozlowski, 419 Country Way, Recreation Commission.
Thank you.
Laura Glancy, 61
Scituate.
Kenneth Road, Scituate, Recreation Director.
Thank you. So, I think what do we have left
Yeah,
to do on this, Pat?
There was the issue on that in the outer riparian, if we consider it to be minor nature, there was no cutting involved. So that was the only other issue. Floodplain is off toward the parking lot area.
Towards the existing parking lot.
Yes, and there's no new cutting going on, and it was just a natural heritage thing was the last remaining thing, the last meetings.
Okay.
So, I'd like to make a motion.
Any debate?
Anybody
Bill?
have a problem?
No.
Richard?
Nope.
Good. Matt?
I'm good.
Anybody in the audience?
For the new playground?
I make a motion for -3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Negative is good.
Yeah, I told us that last time.
All right, good.
Luckily,
Sorry
thanks
about,
anyway.
sorry about the curveball, but...
No, it's good.
Thank you.
Oh, I think it's the right thing.
Yeah, it was.
No, it is.
Now we know
No, now
the Is and
everybody
Ts, all that stuff, yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And I'll leave you.
O'Brien, 19 Kenilworth, Asphalt Drive, where concrete has been removed.
Thank Pat.
Is there anybody here for O'Brien at 19 Kenilworth?
I believe he'll be showing up.
All right, so we'll just push that one off. So we've still got a few minutes before we can start.
Yeah, there was a
Oh, it-
6:20 informal down there, and I'm not sure if he's out of town, but this is a request to do some clearing up on Ian Vinyl Road. There's a single-family home, and there's a potential for a subdivision behind this home on Ian Vinyl. He wanted to know if he could clear out some of the brush to be able to get at areas for testing. He's done some test pits up front where it's a field. He has the wetland flag, but there's been no ANRAD, no RDA, and no notice of intent. So I said, usually we have something on file before we allow some cutting in this area, because the project doesn't go through and it's cleared off, an acre of land.
Right.
So I said I would bring it to the commission, and you may not be able to make it tonight, you may come next week, but I said it's one of those things where we usually don't do it that way, so.
Right. I spoke to Mr. Tedeschi as well, and I told him the same thing. Basically, he's got it flagged. He's got to be, he knows he's got to be out of the buffer zone. So I don't know how much that leaves him to clear or cut.
Right.
But, the problem with doing that is that you lose some of the opportunity to see any vegetation, or it makes it more difficult.
Right, or if he did an IDA or an ANRAD, at least we know where the line is confirmed, and he can get to within 50, up to 50 feet.
Right.
And we'd have some kind of scope of work, too.
But he could, is it,
Yeah.
but couldn't he do that anyways? If he stayed out of the buffer, couldn't he clear?
Well, we're not sure if the wetland line is the correct line, that's the thing. If he did it in the
Right.
inroad, we'll have it confirmed.
Okay,
It's not a real easy
down
one,
to
it's,
the
you
river.
know, it's kind of a, you know, slope all over the place, so.
okay. So, all right, well, we'll see what happens when he,
Yeah, I believe he'll be back next week, so he may want to come in and talk again next week. He thought he was gonna be here tonight, and then he wasn't sure, so.
okay.
So we can move that.
November 2.
You want to go up top?
Yeah, coastal advisory,
There's been nothing, I think the next meeting is the 8th.
I think it got shifted around, but I believe you,
I think it's the
right,
8th.
it's the 8th.
Beach Commission met with CPC last week for some initiatives, and we'll see how that goes.
Okay,
They're tough over there, so we'll see how it goes.
It was some improvements for the beach.
Yeah.
Like for the handicapped accessibilities, to buy some mats so people can actually get to the sand in a wheelchair, and,
It's really pretty cool stuff. It's like a mesh that you can roll out and tack down.
Down.
And it's
And this-
ADA accessible and, yeah.
then you roll it up at the end of the season and put it away.
Great.
And then some shade structures in the parking lots for pickup and drop off, and they would like to use the trestles from the
yeah, I heard-
canopy.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's.
Well, let's not get into too much of that
Yeah,
tonight.
all right. But
Okay.
they had some really good projects for enhancing the beach areas, and that included Hummerock. So
Great.
we'll see where it goes.
Nice, good. On trails, we're gonna wait till next week, and there's gonna be a couple of folks in to talk about some maintaining the trails and things like that.
Sure.
So do that next week. Atlantic Ave / Barrett Beach Access, Pat, cobble issue?
A project we permitted last year to allow dune to be created, and capture the cobble,
Oh,
the
that's
fencing, right? It turned out that the fencing that is put in might restrict the trucks from bringing sand and cobble back on the beach this winter. So the people who have had, you know, stone brought back on there are wondering if it's gonna be impossible to do it this year. So, some of it was snow fence. It's,
That wasn't one of the entrances though, Pat.
between Rosemary's house and the next house, though, there was a dune. And
Yeah.
There was some fencing down there, so whether a truck could get through there now, or would they have to go all the way down to the other end of Atlantic?
The other end of Atlantic, yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, that was never an entrance to put anything back at the end of Barrett. That's
No
what you're
one, no one was
Oh.
using that.
That was never
Everyone-
an entrance, it was
Yeah.
always at the other
Oh,
end.
well, that wasn't the call I got.
I
guess
understand, but that wasn't where
Okay.
there was ever an entrance.
Might have been-
I'm right, all right, Paul?
Backhoes or
No,
something.
yeah,
yeah.
no, that wasn't, until they started doing work there, that was like all natural, yeah.
So I don't think that should be an issue, because the entrance has always been at the other end of Atlantic.
Where that
And that is a
opening
big
is.
entrance.
Yeah, there's a big.
Yeah, and where there is a
opening
big
there.
entrance. And then the second one was way up at the end of Central where it goes up to Cook Road, where it
Yeah.
meets Cook
Right,
Road.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
that should be an
It
issue.
may have been just backhoe work for along Barrett there, where people would bring it up and dump it on.
Right, like that house to the left might have
Yes.
accessed or something when they did that work, but
Right.
that's not a normal place that the cobble
It's
goes.
not a
It goes at
normal
the other
entrance.
end of the other end.
and it's not that far to
No.
the end of Atlantic. I mean,
200
that's-
yards.
Is there any action that we want to take on it?
We were asked to think about if, you know, we've caused some blockage of getting onto the beach. And
Well, they're not supposed to go onto the beach there, so it doesn't.
I don't think we have.
yeah. I can get, you know, if they want to follow up, I can get something in writing and just to see what the concerns are. If it's snow fencing that's on the walkway out there, maybe that's something that could come down. But, you know, the stuff that's been created out on the beach is fine, that's building up as a dune.
It's doing nicely, actually.
I don't think it's gonna be an RDA, whatever, if they wanna go forward. It's not gonna be an RDA if they wanna go forward. That's kind of the feeling that we're getting, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay. Move on.
So those are done.
6:30.
You just got a couple more minutes. Minutes, you want to vote some
Yeah, we
minutes?
might as well do those. I make a motion to accept the minutes as written for August 3rd and 17th, 2016.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Carol. Carol, I
Yeah,
won't be here next week. I won't be here next week.
well, right, yeah.
We can get everything done then. Yeah. Ow.
Do you want to, any enforcement orders, Pat, or?
Anything quick?
Yeah, we could do a couple of updates. On Lot 4, which is now 57 Curtis, Frank and I met out there with the engineer and the property owner, and the two concerns were the area of the buffer that had been stripped, and we wanted some replanting, and then we wanted stormwater calculations. This is also, has come in as a request for certificate of compliance too. We have engineered information that is being given to Merrill Engineering, and they're gonna review to see if the change in location of the driveway and the change in the cutting of the vegetation has really made any difference, or whether it still captures all the stormwater that it would have.
I love firsts. I've never seen a COC and an enforcement order at the same time.
Well, it came in as enforcement, and, but the house is getting ready for a sale, so they're looking for a certificate.
We're not doing
That's
it
an interesting
until we
one.
get...
Yeah, no, I should
Yeah.
think not. Yeah,
That's
okay.
So
Are we-
the plantings are in, but, you know, we would want to be guaranteed that they're going to survive, so we may want to get some money in escrow on that. But the stormwater answer we don't have yet. They just got it to Merrill this week, so
Yeah.
they'll be looking at it now.
So Pat and I met with the owner of the property and Mr. Morse and went through all the pieces, and they explained some of the scenarios that happened there. And so I think we're closing in on getting that resolved. And I think they understand, or he understands better our position on this, and
Okay.
hopefully it'll get
Resolved quickly.
Right. Yeah, the meeting happened pretty quickly, and we got the information, so that was good.
Okay. Back to 6:30.
It is 6:30. So Mead, lots 1A and 2A, 104 Country Way.
Two lots here, but there's three lots.
First meeting.
Yes, you did. Yep.
You're on.
Great. For the record, my name is Gregory Morse. I'm a registered engineer, Morse Engineering, representing the applicant, Tom Mead. This was a notice of intent that we filed. It was associated with construction of a common driveway in a new single-family dwelling at 704 Country Way. We had filed the NOI and the stormwater permit. This is the second hearing that we've had with you. At the first meeting, I went through the plan, showed you the layout for the driveway and the dwelling. Really received no comments or requests for revisions to that plan at that first meeting, but we were awaiting Merrill Associates' review of the stormwater system. There's a stormwater permit that we had requested.
Is there anybody in the room that wants to see, this is 704 Country Way, if anybody wants to see the plan and can't? Okay. You didn't
So-
draw much of a crowd.
So there was a stormwater permit associated with it as well. Since that first meeting with you, Merrill has conducted a review. We made several fairly minor revisions to the plan. We've also been to the Board of Health. They've commented on the plan. We made minor revisions due to their comments. We've also been to the Planning Board. The Planning Board has approved the application for the common driveway. So the revisions that specifically have to do with conservation and have to do with the stormwater permit in the NOI, we changed a detail on the proposed crushed stone trench, which was to run along the edge of the driveway to capture the runoff off of the driveway. We extended that a little bit in length. We also added a berm adjacent to that to help direct stormwater into that trench. We provided some TSS, total suspended solids calculations for Merrill to review. We performed 2 test pits, one in the vicinity of the roof dry wells, the other one in the vicinity of the crushed stone trench to document suitable soils for those 2 stormwater BMPs. And the Board of Health, we addressed some of the comments with the septic system. We added a row of chambers with the septic system in the front. Again, it's a 3-bedroom septic system being proposed at this location. Associated with the planning board, we made some notations on the driveway to close up the other existing driveway entrance at this site, which accesses a garage building. We'll be closing that access up and installing curbing along Country Way at that location. I believe the latest correspondence from Merrill, and I see Mr. Palmieri in the audience, indicated that they were comfortable with our stormwater calculations. DEP had no comments on the submittal, and again, Planning Board has already endorsed the common driveway, so I'll turn it over.
I was just going to say, because we didn't get a lot of this information until today, there were a lot of back and forth between Mr. Morse and Merrill Engineering, and I think it would be useful to go through what Peter's comments were back to Merrill, looking at the original plan and what changes they made, because, I mean, at this point, it looks like they're satisfied, but none of us have heard the details of what has happened on this, and we really would like to get this in a week in advance before a meeting. We had talked about pushing this back a week, but because they scrambled and got soils and they got everything taken care of this week. But Greg, if you wouldn't mind going through with Peter, if you want to come up.
Peter, do you want to comment on this as well? Do you mind?
If Peter's comments to Greg's answers, I mean, if Greg could go through what they did to address Peter's.
Why don't you just, good evening. Maybe you want to just give us a little uptick on that.
Sure. We had received Merrill's comments just last week. October 18th was their initial review letter. And in response to that, we provided a letter back to the commission and to Merrill on the 24th. The changes that we made, I'll run through this letter, again dated October 24th, from my office to the commission. Comment 1, the crushed stone trench was extended along the northeast side of the proposed driveway. That's the crushed stone trench right here adjacent to the common driveway. We had originally stopped it. We've extended it approximately an extra 20 feet in length. The second comment, notes were added to the details specifying that the contractor was to excavate test pits during construction in the vicinity of the roof dry well system and the crushed stone trench. That's been typical on projects in the past, that at the time of construction, test pits are done at those locations. We understood it was a concern before tonight's meeting, so we went out today and actually dug those 2 test pit locations and sent those to Merrill, so that doesn't need to be a condition of approval. Thirdly, TSS removal, that's the total suspended solids calculations. Those were originally omitted from the stormwater package. We provided those to show that we provide 80% TSS removal for the stormwater coming off of the driveway. The next comment was in
What's the
regards-
standard for that?
Minimum is 80%.
Thanks.
The next was in response to the common driveway. Peter had a number of comments regarding site distance and curbing along Country Way. Our response was that that was under planning board and they had already approved the common driveway. Although I note that we incorporated several of his comments in that planning board approval anyways. Next comment was the height of the berm at the crushed stone trench was to be increased from 2 inches to 6 inches. We had proposed a berm along the edge of the driveway, or the back edge of the crushed stone trench, and we added a note to the effect that the berm was to be, rather than 2 inches high, it was going to be a 6-inch high berm. The crushed stone trench detail was revised to specify that the top of the trench was to be level, and then check dams would be installed. The concern was that although we had this trench, that all the water would flow at the end of the trench and over top. What we've specified is that check dams would be provided along that trench at 10-foot intervals, which would in turn retain the water in the trench and prevent it from traveling to the end of the trench. There were comments in regards to the roof dry well system. There was a discrepancy, I think, between the plan and the HydroCAD calculations. That was addressed in the HydroCAD calculations. In the last comment that we responded to was the plan was revised to specify the removal of the existing driveway to the garage of house number 64. Existing driveway is right here. That paved driveway was noted originally to remain. It's now being removed in the calculations.
Greg, when you say the paved driveway is going to be removed, what's going to be in its place?
Grass.
Did you get it signed off from the Board of Health yet?
No, we received comments from the Board of Health,
Yeah.
and we made their changes, and it's back in front of them for review.
But you made their changes.
We made their changes,
So it's
yes.
just a matter of time?
Yeah.
Penny, do you have any other?
No, I don't think so. If Peter's happy, then I'm happy.
Just run through here and then we'll
Yeah.
get,
No questions.
yeah.
Me either.
Want Peter to go first, or you
Yeah,
want to jump
I was
in?
gonna say, they did soils today too, they were out there digging holes, so, you know, you could go through that.
Sure, so we, you know, as I stated, typically what's done is during construction, test pits are excavated and dry well elevations are established. We went out just to confirm our soil analysis, the HydroCAD analysis here. We based it on the testing that we had done out here previously. We've done a total of 4 test pits on this site and 2 test pits on the house next door, primarily consisting of loamy sands. Those were witnessed by the Board of Health agent at the time. But those test pits were not in the exact location of the crushed stone trench or dry well. Today, we went out, we excavated 2 additional test pits. I excavated those, DEP licensed soil evaluator. I provided copies of the soil logs associated with that to Mr. Palmieri, and we sent them to Pat via email as well, confirming, again, that in both of those locations, we have adequate soil. It's consistent, it's loamy sand, and the groundwater was deep enough to accommodate the stormwater.
Well, you dug it today and got the results today?
You get the results while you're sitting right there.
Oh, yeah, oh, all right.
Yeah.
So how far was groundwater?
Groundwater in test pit A, which is under the crushed stone trench.
Yeah.
The bottom of the excavation was at elevation 38. We did not encounter any groundwater. That was at a depth of 5 feet. Test pit B, which is under the dry wells, the bottom of the test pit was at elevation 30. The groundwater was determined at elevation 30 and a half, which is about 8.5 feet down at that location. It's 2.5 feet below the bottom of the leaching chambers. So it provides the requisite 2 feet of separation.
Okay, thank you.
Peter, do you want to comment on this?
Well, Greg pretty much summarized what our concerns were and their response to it. The majority of our concerns were either some details that we didn't agree with, some discrepancies in the calculations, elevations used in the calculations versus what was on the plan. Subsequently, those discrepancies have been corrected. I think the major thing was just to perform soil testing in the areas of the stormwater BMPs, just to make sure that the soil assumptions made in the calculations were indeed what was present. And the information they submitted this afternoon verified that the soil was present and the groundwater was deep enough to basically follow DEP requirements as far as 2 feet of separation. So at this point, we're satisfied.
Okay.
There was one thing too added on the plan, Greg, you have a buffer enhancement area in the back, if you could talk about that.
Sure. Along the back of this lot line, which, you know, is approximately where, sorry, not the back of the lot line, but the back of this limit of work, right up against the wetland area here, There's 2 existing sheds. Those sheds have fallen over, they're dilapidated, there's a lot of debris there. We wanted to remove those 2 sheds, remove the debris, and then provide a planted 10-foot buffer that would run along that entire width of the lot at that location. You know, we would accept a condition to provide a planting plan with that detail at some point.
And then the rest of that sloped area would be grass lawn up toward the house?
Yeah, a lot of it right now is, it was lawn, it's kind of fallen into, it hasn't been mowed in a long time. The property, I believe, has been vacant for a little while, but, you know, it would be mowed and brought back to the condition it was in before, which was lawn surface, yeah.
If you get the sheds out of it, it would be great, because they're just going to fall right into the wetland.
We're not proposing any fill in that area or change in grade in that area, it's just to reestablish what's already there, really.
That would be good.
Would it make sense, I mean, this is a spot that's right up close to the wetlands line. Do we want to have a couple of demarcation posts or
Conservation
Words right out of my
something
head.
in that?
Do we have somebody making these yet?
There's a stone wall that runs almost right along that line.
I know.
Okay.
If you wanted to say that, you know, we replaced some stones along that wall, that acts as a really good kind of natural buffer.
Demarcation.
If you want a post or 2, we'd be glad to do that,
I mean,
too.
it's not a very long property line, but
No.
it is close to that, and if you're going to kind of clean that up, it would be, it just seems like those things get lost on people if they're not marked out, so.
It isn't a usable space. From when I was there, you had to walk down a hill.
You do.
And I had to go sideways to get to the sheds.
Yep.
It's not at all usable. So I really, personally, I don't have a concern of anybody going down there once you put some plants in, because it's not that wide either.
Well, just usually in where there's a shed, we try to mark a couple of spots at
Sure.
least, so.
You know, that wouldn't hurt, but it is not a usable space.
Okay.
That's why they had to put sheds there.
Anything else, Pat?
I don't know if does anybody have any comments?
Anybody in the audience for 704 Country Way? So, I mean, if you feel like you've got everything, you comfortable
I'm comfortable closing at this point.
with any other changes that you don't perceive to happen here?
No.
All right, and I guess I want to appreciate, you know, Mr. Palmieri's with Merrill Associates. They're our consulting engineer. They look out for the town's interest, and, you know, it seems like you guys bend over backwards to help out with these, and we appreciate it. You know, that sometimes there's a concern that the commission doesn't move quick enough on some of these, but we certainly appreciate your doing that. We do.
Thank you.
And, Pat, you're
Yeah, I was glad
comfortable
Peter
with
was
everything?
able to come too, because going through the list of questions we had with Greg, so.
Okay.
Can we close without BOH approval?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, with
Yeah,
the
contingent,
condition.
yeah.
So
I'll
I'll make
take
a
a-
motion to close.
In favor?
But wait a minute. Close with the condition we're waiting for the approval from Board of Health.
And we can meet
Well-
on Wednesday and have,
You don't really have a, you're closed, you're not going to take any more
Exactly right.
information. We're going to have markers, and there may be a couple of revisions to this
But
plan.
if Board of Health comes back and says he needs to do something else, that's I don't think it's gonna happen.
Right, but we don't need a condition, that's a problem
Not
for
another
them.
condition,
Yeah.
but,
Well, you don't want to have another hearing?
One of your standard conditions is that we get all permits in hand anyways.
that's all. I just want to be sure. Like you said, we can't take any more new information, but
no, I think to Penny's point, if for some reason you had to move it to a different section of the app,
We have to open up
you
again.
know,
Yeah.
amended kind of thing, but if not, and it's a standard
Okay.
change.
So we have a motion,
We meet next week, too.
Yep.
yes, we
Right.
do.
we have a motion to close with demarcations added, and that's about it?
Yep.
Right?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Thanks very
you.
much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, gentlemen.
It says- That thing changed.
So I'm going to recluse myself from the next two
Gotcha. Don't go too far.
discussions. No, not really.
Okay, so the next one we have up is Norton 23 Sunset Road, McLean Drive, new build. This is also a continuation. Greg, I would appreciate it when you get started if you go back to the beginning and just bring people up to speed. And I'm assuming,
Are you doing this one?
I am assuming that many of you are here for this Sunset Road. Two things. Number one, Pat is going to hand out a sheet for you to sign in if you're interested in this particular hearing. It is not all going to happen tonight, so it's important, if you're going to be continuously interested, that you sign in, and then when you come back, the same thing. It's a record so that if there are eventually any kind of holdups or anything like that, your attendance makes you eligible to continue to speak up.
Name and address is fine.
Right. Secondly, just if you haven't been here before for these hearings, we try to do things in an orderly fashion. Greg will make his presentation. There will be an opportunity for all of the board members to question him, and for the agent, for Pat to speak up. And then we will absolutely give a chance for people to speak. We will ask for your name and your address, and for you to keep your comments or questions to what's involved with conservation. We don't do zoning hearings, we don't do planning hearings, this is only related to the conservation issues. Thank you. Great.
Again, for the record, my name's Gregory Morse. I'm a registered engineer, Morse Engineering. Representing the applicant, Patricia and Paul Norton. This is a notice of intent associated with a new single-family house located at their property at the end of Sunset Road, McLean Drive, out on First Cliff. There was a meeting approximately 2 weeks ago that we had requested a continuance at. At that meeting, the Conservation Commission read the public hearing notice, opened the public hearing, and continued it to this night without taking any testimony. I did not speak on behalf of the project. Since then, I've re-notified all of the abutters at tonight's hearing, so they are all aware of the project. They've all been noticed. The project was in the newspaper. The property, I'm going to direct your attention to the aerial photograph for reference. Sunset Road is right here. McLean Drive is primarily a paper street. It was partially constructed, located in this location. Scituate Harbor runs out around the property. The Maritime Center at the bottom of the page here. The property that we're working on, I've highlighted here. This is the property line in bold. It's approximately 4.79 acres in size. It is made up of several assessors' parcels. The applicants own one of the parcels individually. Several of the other parcels are owned by family members and members of an estate. The executor of the estate is the one that we've made the application under to encompass, again, the 4.79 acres that makes up this line that I've highlighted. Our proposal is to site one single-family house at this property. That single-family house location is located right here, right up against Sunset Road on the the easterly side of the McLean Drive location. I've highlighted that proposed house location in orange. Now I'm going to direct you to the plan that was submitted with the notice of intent, which shows the detail associated with the house location here. I'm not going to show you the remainder of the property out here, as we're not doing anything out in that location. So we're going to zoom in here. Familiarize you with the plan. Sunset Road is right here on the left-hand side. Our property line is highlighted in bold. McLean Drive, as it exists, is right here. Our proposed house is right here in bold, brown. We have several wetland resource areas that are out here. Two of the resource areas are bordering vegetated wetlands. Brad Holmes, professional wetland scientist, did the original delineation in 2012. He's reviewed the site since then. And delineated it back in 2014 and looked at it again in 2015. This is the bordering vegetated wetland on the western side of McLean Drive. There's another bordering vegetated wetland on the side. These are both state-regulated wetland areas. Off of those, we have a 100-foot buffer zone regulated by the state. That 100-foot buffer zone is shown in green. in the town of Scituate also imposes a 50-foot no-disturb buffer zone to those wetlands. That 50-foot no-disturb buffer zone is shown here in red, arcing through the site. Secondarily, we have a local isolated vegetated wetland. That's this blue line. Interior of that is considered isolated vegetated wetland under the local bylaw only, jurisdictional under the local bylaw only. That was made, the determination on that was made by two scientists. One was Brad Holmes as our professional wetland scientist. The second was made by Art Allen, a soil scientist, who took soil samples and looked at hybrid soil indicators in that area to make that determination. The third resource that we have at this site is federal resource. It's the FEMA floodplain. Based off of the new FEMA flood maps, this property is in zone AE at elevation 15, which encompasses all of the area we're proposing for the house. For reference, the ground contours in this area at the high side of our property, we're at elevation 14, all the way up ultimately to the low side, being at sea level. All of our work is in the elevation 10 to elevation 14 range, so we're included in that FEMA zone AE at elevation 15. Sunset Road is a gravel road. It comes down like this. It provides access to the Coast Guard. There's the NOAA station at the end. It also provides access to a new parking lot that was permitted and approved last year across the street. It provides access to McLean Drive. McLean Drive is a subdivision on paper. It was partially constructed. It was never completed. It was never paved. It was never accepted by the road. It's a private way. It originally had utilities installed. There is a water service in McLean Drive. There's a hydrant, a fire hydrant at the end of McLean Drive. There's been water services installed for the individual lots off of McLean Drive. There was a sewer easement that the town took across the property here and left sewer stubs for this property as well. Getting to the proposed site, we're proposing the house in this location. We've elevated it up on piles. It would be a piled foundation with the floodplain at elevation 15. We've proposed our first floor at 17, 2 feet above the 100-year floodplain elevation. We've proposed a gravel driveway. The gravel driveway would be in this location off of Sunset Road. We're proposing connection to public utilities, public sewer, public water, and electricity, again, all in this corner of the site. The sewer line on the side, the water service to Sunset Road, and electric off of a utility pole on Sunset Road. The grading, we have very minor grading on the site. Everything we're proposing is within 6 inches of what's existing for grade. You'll see we have an elevation 12, 11, and 10 contour that essentially mimic what the existing contours out there. We'd be stripping off the loam in the area of the driveway and putting down that gravel surface. Underneath the house, we're not proposing any change in the elevations as it's driven piles. In evaluating this development, we figured that the least disruptive proposal here was to try to site the one single-family house in this property and in this neighborhood. And in siting it, we tried to locate it on the lot in its overall location in an area that would try to minimize impacts to resources. The impacts to the BVW across McLean Drive and off the end of McLean Drive, we comply with the 50-foot setback to those with our house, and inside the 100-foot buffer, we don't feel that the work that we're doing will have any impact to the bordering vegetated wetland to the west or the bordering vegetated wetland to the south. In evaluating our proposal with respect to the FEMA floodplain, construction on a floodplain is regulated at the federal level. A zone AE at elevation 15 requires that the first floor be a minimum of 1 foot above that floodplain elevation. We've proposed it 2 feet above it at elevation 17. It also requires that if you are to have a basement, that it be a flood-resistant construction. We've gone a step further. We've proposed a pile foundation. The pile foundation allows the free passage of water underneath the property. It also makes so that there's no downstream effects There are no downstream abutters here aside from the harbor. It'll allow for the free flow passage of water underneath this house without directing it to an abutting property. In regards to the isolated vegetated wetland, the local wetland, that's the wetland where we have the most impact to. Our house is located in this location because these lots here fall within the floodplain overlay district with Scituate and can't be built on at the local level. To site a house over here, again, requires work inside the 50-foot buffer to a state-regulated wetland. So we sited it in this location, and we're pushed further toward the harbor because of the sewer easement that was taken. The 20-foot sewer easement pushes us typically where we'd have an 8-foot setback, it pushes it to a 20-foot setback for our building. As such, we've sited it in this location. We're proposing to alter the isolated vegetated wetland in this corner. It's 2,500 square feet of alteration. 2,500 square feet is the maximum that's permittable underneath your bylaw. It requires a replication of 2-to-1. We've proposed that 2-to-1 replication attached to the same isolated vegetated wetland in this area. We'd replicate 5,000 square feet in total. We feel that the commission can approve a project and consider a project like this for several reasons. One of them, it doesn't propose alteration of a state bordering vegetated wetland. It will have no adverse impact on the flood zone, and the proposed construction here is similar to construction that is allowed elsewhere in the floodplain district. The local isolated wetland, we comply with the 2-to-1 replication ratio that's specified in the bylaw, and we'll be providing increased habitat space as we're proposing 5,000 square feet as opposed to the 2,500 square feet that would be altered. We feel that this is worthy of a varied alteration of that area. We feel that it is an ecological improvement to limit this property to one single-family home, and we're willing to take a deed restriction on the remaining property, the 4.79 acres, limiting it to the development of one single-family home. DEP had no comments on this project. I'll turn it over for your comments.
Thank you, Greg. Penny?
This piece of property has a long history. It's been in and out of here over the years. In huge field years ago, we had DEP, we denied them they were going to build out there, and they got to appeal it, and DEP came out and did soils and everything, and the huge field that goes out to the harbor that is out. What my concern is, the paper street, the gravel that's there. But I believe that's what made that, if you want to call it an isolated wetland. I think it was all connected, and I want to know who put that road in, who gave permission for that road to cut wetlands in half like that. I have a lot of concern on that.
We'd have to know how far back it would go.
I want to know.
It may be before.
There's gravel out there. It wasn't too long ago, because you can see the gravel still, and the rest of the fields are all grown up and stuff. It used to be the pumpkin patch. It used to be farmed. The huge area was. All right? And this small area on the other side of the paper street, whatever you want to call it, definitely there's gravel, and it goes all the way quite a distance in. And I believe that's what separated, cut this off
Made it an
from
isolated, yeah.
the wetlands. That at one point, this was all one huge, and I can't find where anybody, who got permission to put that road in, when they did. And so that's my first question is, where did that come from? And I believe that's possibly how they're calling that an isolated wetlands now. And it really is, if you remove the road, it's all one
BVW.
wetlands.
if it's a paper road, though, you'd have to do a title search, wouldn't you? To go back and figure out when that road was actually established. I think you'd have to, and if,
You know, I think if you take the
I mean,
road
that's just-
out,
that's
it's
just
going
a
to change
comment.
the whole story, and I don't know if it was legally put in, or if it was just done without any permits. That's a question I have to have answered
okay.
from the get-go, really.
Bill?
Craig, can I trouble you to just go through the 50 and 100 again? I could not make it out
Sure.
on
I'm a little
this.
tiny.
Sure. You have, the buffers that I've highlighted are the ones that I've pointed to here. You've got a BVW here.
Yeah,
Blue line.
right.
You have a BVW here. Off of that, there's a 100-foot buffer, which is this green line, and off of this is a 100-foot buffer, which is this green line. So this becomes your 100-foot buffer zone to the state regulation.
So essentially,
Okay?
the whole house is in the 100? Yeah, essentially, yeah, 90% of it, yeah, okay.
Off of both of those, again, if you split that distance in half, being the 50, this red line becomes the 50-foot setback, and off of this, the 50-foot setback. So, the house is outside the 50, as measured that way. I also included the IVW here, locally, we have a 50-foot buffer to that as well. And so there's a 50-foot buffer here for the isolated vegetated areas.
So it's within
That road that Penny's talking about, is that just left over from when they were going to develop it before, or is it used for access to the property now?
Right now, it's used for access to the property. When it was constructed and what the legal history of it is, I can look into that and get you some answers. I know it's existed for quite some time.
Right, no, I'm just curious if it gets used now, or it's just...
It does. The aerial photo kind of shows what the property's been used for. I mean, historically, Penny said there was a pumpkin patch out there at one point.
Right.
I know there were horses out there at one point. It's been kind of maintained meadow field area for
Yeah.
the most part.
Yeah.
By and large. That's really the only use that I've seen on it.
Yeah, there's nothing out there to access, really, right?
There were a couple of sheds at the back corner of this property at one point.
But all that stuff's
They're still
gone
there.
now.
It's all gone now.
There's
Yeah.
nothing out there.
Okay.
That was in 2012.
Okay.
That photo.
Matt, other questions?
Just, which of the 2,500 square feet are you altering that you're going to replicate on the other wetland to this side of the dwelling?
Sure. So the 2,500 square feet is alteration of the local wetland only, the IVW.
Yeah.
And the IVW is this blue line. We're filling in this shaded area here.
Okay.
This becomes filled to provide access around the house, to provide a minimal yard in front of the house. This isolated wetland stays. And then over here, on the south side, we add 5,000 square feet. This is all upland area now.
Yeah.
So that becomes an additional 5,000.
And the inner circle is a wetland now?
This
in-
inner circle inside of it is...
Actually, inside where you're proposing to replicate, yes.
No, that's all upland area right now.
Okay.
That's a contour indicating that we're taking the elevation down to the same elevation of the wetland.
Okay, thank you.
Pat?
Well, I think the challenge for the commission is going to be to have the wetland lines confirmed. The town will hire somebody. We've talked to 3 different wetland specialists now, trying to get people with some experience with both salt marshes, isolated wetlands, and bordering vegetated wetlands. Some of this information is a little bit dated. It's 2012, but it sounds like there's been stuff dumped in different locations out there over time. There was an order of resource area delineation in 2009, I believe, and that was challenged, and I don't know if it went to court, I don't know what the outcome of that is, but we have boxes of files of the history of this that we should go through as a commission, so we know we're taking the original site information and looking what's out there now. Then we have legal counsel who will help us determine how far back you can look at filled areas and things like that. So we have some work to do before we're able to say, we agree with this wetland line or not. Greg, you had looked into the stormwater permit locally, and because of the size of the lot and the amount of alteration, it doesn't trigger local stormwater.
Right, there are 4 triggers for the stormwater bylaw, and this doesn't trigger any of them.
Right, and then the other issue with the town too is the zoning, the floodplain, and getting confirmation from zoning board of appeals or from the building inspector that you can put this project together under his regulations. Okay. The other thing about the wetland review is that we may need to look at somebody with soil experience too, more than just someone with an auger that can say wetland plants grow here. We may need to, you know, move some soil around to see if gravel road is covering salt marsh, if, you know, and that was done, so we're still looking into that.
I don't know how deep that gravel goes. We didn't, I
How
haven't
long
taken a
back can
shovel
you
out
look?
there.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Bill, you had another question?
Yeah, well, a couple. One, natural heritage,
None.
recently, not,
The 2016.
okay. It's in a federal and state-controlled area, but neither one of them have decided to comment on this project?
So the two resources, the state resource is the bordering vegetated wetland.
Yeah.
DEP commented. DEP's performance standards, as you know, for bordering vegetated wetland really don't come into play until you're in the bordering vegetated wetland. So they had no comment. That didn't surprise me. The federal one is the FEMA floodplain. The town of Scituate, we approve projects in the floodplain all the time. What they basically did is they published guidance on projects that are proposed in floodplains. You have to build certain types of foundations if you're in a velocity zone. You have to build certain foundations with flood vents if you're in certain flood areas near the beach. This one here, being in an AE zone, requires flood vents. We've taken it to the next level, though, and gone even above that by proposing a pile foundation.
I would say the great outstanding majority of the ones that we have looked at in floodplains have been existing construction and have been trying to go up. So in this, with this obviously being a very sensitive area, does a person who wants to go into that area, do they need to have some kind of overriding reason to say this should be allowed because we want to, or because there are other mitigating factors that should be considered, or it's because our right to build here, because it's our land? I mean, what's the kind of underlying premise to trying to build inside the 50 and 100? The latter part, it's our land and we should be able to build it.
That's,
Yeah.
And comply with the regulations.
Yeah.
Comply with the
Right.
I
regulations.
think that's it.
right, the floodplain issue gets a little confusing because there's the FEMA flood zone, which is what Greg was talking about, a certain elevation, and we've allowed things because we can stop things under current regulations, but there is a floodplain bylaw, and if you're within that, there's really strict language. It goes back to 1972, and it was a contour line, and nothing can be built in those. But even though flood maps have changed and the important areas protected have expanded, under our bylaw, we can't deny it. And under the federal, as long as you meet the standards by going up on pilings or cutouts in the foundations, they allow it.
We have confirmed, this project is outside the town of Scituate floodplain protection district, so it's not an issue on this property.
Okay, I'd like to allow people to have something to say, but again, I just want to reiterate. First of all, this is not going to be finished tonight, no matter what. There are things that the commission has already stated openly. We're going to need wetland lines confirmed. We may want to do some soil tests, things like that. So I don't want anybody to think that this is all going to happen tonight or anything like that. And second of all, we're well aware that this has historical precedent, that it's been dealt with before. We know a lot of that background. I would just ask, you're certainly welcome to ask questions of Greg. Please keep them, though, to the conservation issues, and be as concise as possible.
Actually, they have to go through you to ask the question.
Yeah, and
Yeah, yeah.
you're going to raise your hand, and I'll try to get to you, and we'll do all we can. sorry?
Name and address.
And name and address, yes, please. So I'm going to assume that somebody has some questions. Or maybe they don't. Yes, sir, please. Your name and address?
My name is Jim Bristol. My wife Mary and we reside at 19 Sunset Road. And I believe we're speaking in behalf of also our neighbors, unless Nick wants to speak. Nick and Gina Damasio and Ken North and Susan Bezell at 19 Roberts Road, and they're at 16 Roberts Road. We're the abutters along, all three of us, and we are opposed to it. Just a little quick history because of what you said. I watched in around 1999 them bring gravel in and make that McLean Drive.
Wasn't there?
And it was done in several different times. And also at that time, I witnessed them putting the water line in. And I think somewhere along that time, the McDonald's were asked to talk with both the Conservation Board, I'm doing this from minutes from the Planning Board, and to submit plans to the Department of Public Works and also the Planning Board, which evidently didn't get done because it didn't go much further than that. When they were digging that water line, once you get down 3 or 4 feet, there's a layer of peat. And that, you could see that, and to me, that's evidence that, of course, we have an old marsh there. Secondly, we watched them build this, well, perhaps before the sewer line. We watched Barry Joseph bring in loam on the far end of that, where which was a lot that he had bought from the McDonald's at the time. And he graded that off with several hundred yards of loam, made a nice lawn, it was pretty, but it did go right on top of what was then the vegetated, the wetland, and raised the grade up to where it is now. And the proposed, what do you call it when you're redoing the wetland, is over there, and I'm not so sure that you can redo a wetland on top of what's already a wetland, so I'd ask you to consider that. Thirdly, when they were doing the sewer easement, half of the sewer easement is on our land and the other half is on the land in question. And when they dug for the sewer line, they also encountered peat under there, which had to be removed to put in the sewer line. So I'm saying between the sewer line and the water line, both were areas where peat was under there. I guess from the historians, I'm told that the soils there were dredged from the harbor many years ago, and they evidently covered over the marsh. So, having all those things in mind, I just ask that you look at it carefully. We think that it's not an appropriate place to build a house. And I would say this, just as you mentioned earlier, the fact that that gravel road is there made a dam. And it made a dam, and it made it so the isolated wetland is now not connected to the rest of the wetlands. If that gravel road, which I don't think there were any permits granted to put it there, if that gravel road were not there, it would still be all one big wetland. I hope I didn't take too long, but being as I live there, I'm the historian.
We appreciate your comments very much. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Jim did a great job. My name is Nick Damasio. I live on 16 Roberts Drive. I'm in Abutter. I'm here with my wife. So on behalf of both of us, I just want to echo and communicate exactly what Jim just said, since it's already in the records. So we are clearly opposed for all of the reasons Jim gave. And I'd like to just point out one other thing. I heard a conversation about was that gravel road providing access. I've lived there almost 4 years now as an abutter. I haven't seen much in the way of any access to any of that property. I've seen a tractor go to most of the land, with the tall grass, but that's it. There's not much in the way of access being used by that paper road that we approved. Not since I've been there. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi. My name is Carol Fitzgibbon, and I'm president of the First Club Association, and I hope you don't mind if I sit because I have a condition that makes me kind of lightheaded if I stand. Anyway, first of all, I'd like to make it clear, I know you received a letter of mine that I wrote on October 3rd, 2016, and I'd like to indicate that there were approximately 59 families on First Club. And out of those 59, 3 abstained and 1 was opposed. So the majority of the residents on First Club are opposed to this project, or this building. And I can give some history, because I have some of the old documents about the building of, the alleged building of the road on McLean Drive. In 1959, the McDonald's wanted to subdivide that property. And I'm not quite sure that what happened to it, but nothing was done with it. They wanted to do it, but it didn't happen. And then in 1974, they went before the Conservation Board and the ZBA at the time. And at that time, they wanted to fill the property so that it would elevate above the watershed. And also at that time, there was a stream, it's called the Guzzle, Guzzle, and the Guzzle used to run underneath all of these lots into the harbor. And they were turned down emphatically, saying that they were not going to allow them to do it because filling it would cause flooding and all kinds of other things. But one of the first things that the Conservation Board said in response to what reason, is there a reason why you can go forward with this or not, or is it just because you want to build it? Number 1 was no apparent condition of hardship has been established. So that was the Conservation Board, and then there were other conditions, and they were also concerned about, water draining and health problems and stuff like that. So what happened after that, so it was denied, and it was also denied by the ZBA. So what happened after that, sometime around 1999, and I, myself and my husband and a few other neighbors were involved in this litigation, it was found that the McDonald's were illegally filling the property. And there was literally a stop order. Someone notified us, whatever, I don't know which governing body handles that, but there was a stop order. They went down to the property and they said, you're illegally filling, you cannot do that. Now, by this time, the Guzzle was completely covered. If you go down there now, there is no Guzzle as far as I know. It's gone. It was completely covered by the McDonald's. So they were now trying to get McLean Drive, they wanted to fill that in. And as you indicated, what happened is they started to do that, and when they did that, that broke up the wetlands so that now you have part isolated wetlands, and then you have the rest of the wetlands. Actually, from my reading, I think what happened ultimately in that decision is that, and this was before, I believe, the planning board, it might not have been the ZBA, because I think there was a change, but they said that they would consider maybe allowing them to put the road in, but they had to upgrade it and do all kinds of things, which they never did from 1999 to 2016. And one of the concerns that I have, and I can represent for Forest Cliff, is that it seems to me that it's very unfair that other people should benefit from the illegal activity of the McDonald's. I mean, it was clear that they illegally filled this property. And so now you have elevations that you didn't have before. So I wanted to mention that. I also know that there's been some talk about the AE zone. Now we know that these lots are in fact in the AE zone. And I'm not an engineer. I can't tell you that I really understand all of that was presented to us. But I will tell you that the Doherty decision that was decided for the lots over on Edward Foster, although it wasn't a watershed decision, the Supreme Judicial Court was clear that the planning board could consider the concept of do these lots flood. Now, I know no one has mentioned that, but I think Mr. Bristol could verify that the lots in question are subject to flooding, and they do in fact flood. So I don't think that that precludes the fact that it isn't under the watershed, and the fact that it was illegally built up would prevent that ruling to apply in this case. And of course, the other thing is that kind of boggles the minds of myself and all my neighbors is public policy. I mean, we have been doing these new FEMA maps for the last 3 or 4 years and putting land in flood zones that were not before. And the rationale behind that is global warming and the fact that we know that the tides are going to rise. This is not a house that was there before. This is brand new construction. And an engineer, any engineer can come in and say, I can build X, Y, Z to whatever purpose it should be done, can be done. And it seems to me that as a public policy, that is a really dangerous route to go down. Because if this one goes up, maybe not in that particular area, but in other areas of Scituate, the same thing is going to happen. And I should also point out, in the Doherty case, there wasn't a conservation issue, and the elevations were actually higher. And the court still said, as far as we're concerned, the Scituate as a town has a right to define subject to flooding and to prevent building in these kind of areas. That's all I have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I can get you a copy of the, I meant to do it, a copy, if you want, a copy of that 1974 for the next meeting, if you want me to do that.
If you could get one to Carol, that would be great, our secretary.
Sure, I'll have it made tomorrow and I'll drop it off.
Thank you.
We have your letter from the association entered for the record.
Right, thank you.
Greg, do you have any response to any of this, or just?
Sure. I'm taking notes and we'll address most of it in a follow-up, but a couple things real quickly. The Doherty case was specifically in regards to the local floodplain overlay district. Again, we're not in that district, so it's not relevant to this property. I agree 100% the FEMA floodplain is, and that's why we proposed that. Regarding access on McLean Drive, I'll look into the construction and dates and history of that. I'm not relying on McLean Drive for access to this property. Our driveway and all of our utilities and our frontage for zoning purposes are all being depicted off of Sunset Road. So McLean Drive, whether it exists or whether it gets removed even, really won't affect our proposal. So I'll look into the construction of it, though.
Well, we're trying to figure out what role that plays in making this an isolated.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
And how far we can go back.
And we're going
Yeah.
to have to check that out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is there any other comments from the audience at this time?
All
Okay,
right.
so we're gonna,
So we're going to need, Pat, what is it that we absolutely need?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'd like to continue to some date.
We need to continue it, yes.
After the next meeting, anyway, maybe into.
He wants to review the resource areas.
Resource areas, right.
And the old files and some of the history to the roads.
And the soil, you want to do the soil testing under the road?
Yeah, I mean, I think, maybe we should talk about that with the wetland person.
yeah,
All
I
right.
was gonna say we get the wetland person and then see what they have to say.
So in order to get this done, we would, next week, we can't possibly do, that would be 3 weeks then to the 16th.
That'd be a reach, I think,
Uh,
to get-
That's
Greg,
a
I would-
reach. It'd be December.
Yeah, what, have you gotten proposals from a wetland consultant yet? Where do we stand at that? Because that can take time, too.
Yeah.
Where do we stand?
Yeah, I've spoken to 3, and one of them said, following tonight's meeting, send down a scope, because, it's still. Now, the stuff that's been done for, 2012, is there a full report on that?
There is, yeah.
That'd be a place to
So,
start.
it would be the 7th.
But, I mean, maybe a month or two, I mean.
December
Yeah, is there-
7th?
How about December 7th?
Well, we're getting into the holidays, you have to remember that, so you have to remember trying to get people and get work done. You're running into short weeks in both November and December, so I'm almost inclined to go the 1st of January to try and get all this work done.
I mean,
But
part of it's up to
whatever
the-
you guys decide.
Part of it's
would
up to
think-
the applicant, too.
These wetland engineers are very hard
I
to
would
get.
think to shoot for December, Penny, and if something comes up that
Okay,
we
we
can't
can
do it, we
always
can
continue,
reconvene.
that's fine.
You know, that.
December 7th, yes.
All right,
December
so
7th.
So,
make a motion to
wait
continue.
a second, Yeah.
Whoa.
Hold up.
I gotta go.
So just
December
for everybody in the audience to understand, there's going to be a whole lot of research done, as was mentioned. There's going to be some tests made that have to be made to even consider this under conservation rules. So we're going to be continuing this whole discussion, at least for the moment, there's not been a formal motion, but there's going to be until December 7th. So nothing is going to happen publicly until then, while all of this background information gets done. If something were to change and that got postponed further, I just urge you to look for the agenda that is posted at least 48 hours and also on the website, on the town website, because we don't want you to come here and find out that it's being postponed again. Okay? So that's what's going to happen. I hope everybody understands that.
And if you have information that you feel particularly germane to this, then feel free to bring it into, Carol,
Conservation
and
office,
she'll
right.
just add it to the other pile she had.
So now I'll take
So I'm gonna make a motion that we
Wait, time
continue.
out.
Just a quick question.
Sure.
Susan Bays, one of the abutters. To the extent that Mr. Morris is going through and getting his arguments together, and you're compiling information and doing the testing and so forth, and then we come back December 7th, in the interim, will we have access to any of that information that's in progress, so that to the extent we engage our own legal counsel or engineers as well, it would be helpful to have that information?
It's all public information.
Right.
So
It's all public, but we can't say when we'll actually have the information coming
Yeah,
back from
if-
engineers and wetlands
If it's here,
You know, it might
absolutely.
be all the week before that we get everything back.
so it has to be here. I don't think you'd be able to get it directly from the engineer.
Yeah, I think the rule is it has to be back in this office hands at least a week ahead of the
Yeah.
meeting.
People could come in and review things in our office at any time, the old historical
Yeah.
stuff, as new stuff comes in, you could review it. Just give us a call, make sure we're here, and you
Yeah.
we'll give
So
you
there's
a-
full transparency through
Oh,
this
yeah.
process,
Everything
one
is
way or
open.
another.
Yes, there is. Okay?
Yeah.
And I would encourage you, ma'am, to, whatever you have, to submit it,
Just,
so it's part of the record.
it's scary downstairs in the record room, so think about it.
I make a motion that we continue 23 Sunset to December 7th at 6:30.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks,
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Look at the pen I have tonight.
I think that's really going to be interesting.
Yeah, no, I don't either, but if that's,
Folks, please, if you can leave quietly, we've got lots more to do.
oh,
Nice job. Very nice.
that's the whole crux. These people have been trying to do something with this property.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, good luck, Greg.
I just don't understand why we have to okay. Because it's not, that's why we have building zones, that's why we have flood zones, that's why we have no disturb zones.
I know.
That's why we wrote these laws.
It's hard when you have all this historical stuff that's happened, to go back and make them undo it when it was
Yeah.
there when...
You know what I mean? Okay, we're going right into the next one.
And I keep...
You gotta deal with what.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, well, we got, yeah.
These are friends of mine, do I have to?
It could have created.
I want to talk,
I'm not in a butter.
Right.
You're talking
I don't know.
Right.
You know, when you start that, it could have.
It's endless.
oh,
You
yeah.
know?
Okay.
Give it to him. Oh, yeah, just quick, that's
It's a road.
Okay, we're going right into the next thing, please.
should be quick.
Okay, we've got, next is Fern Properties, request for an extension, 214 Thomas Clap Road. Is someone here for that?
Yes, this gentleman is. I remember
Boy,
you.
we haven't seen you in a while.
I know.
How you been?
Very good. Thank you this evening for your time. I'm Joseph Iantosca. I'm the manager of Fern Properties LLC.
Excuse me, gentlemen, could you close the doors first, please? Thank you so much.
Do you mind if I have
No,
Thank
please.
you. I'm the manager of Fern Properties. That's the developer of the Benjamin Studley Farm subdivision.
Right.
And I'm here tonight requesting an extension to the order of conditions that was issued to the project back in November 19th of 2013. Since then, just to give you a brief update, we're approximately 95% complete with the infrastructure of the project. We have the exception of some street trees, which are currently underway to be installed, and the final course of road pavement that needs to be put in, which we don't want to damage due to the house construction that's underway, so we were planning on waiting to the latter stage of the house construction to install that. In October of 2015, I came before the board and I requested a partial certificate of compliance for the work that was completed within the subdivision. And in October, that was, I believe, October 27th, we had a partial certificate that was issued by the board. It was recorded at the Registry of Deeds, and there were 5 items that were outstanding that needed to be done in order to complete the project and get a full certificate of compliance for what's out there. And not to drag on with, but I'll go through the 5 items that were outstanding. The first item was infiltration function investigation of the rear basin, and last year there was some concern with the drainage, the rate of drainage of infiltration of the basin that's in the back of the subdivision, and since then we've had our engineer go through it several times, and our site contractor was there this summer and made some adjustments to the basin. We haven't had significant amount of continuous rainfall to see if the adjustments are working properly, but that will continue to be monitored, but that was addressed. The second item was installing a grate at the rear outlet basin, and that was installed. The third item was the final top course of pavement on the subdivision road, and like I said, we don't want to do that with continued truck traffic going over the road because the final product just won't be right. The fourth item was to install the street trees, and they've been shipped to us, and that's going to be underway over the course of the next couple of weeks. And the fifth item was to reduce the size of the East Cross Culvert sediment trap, which was on the other side of Thomas Clap Road, that currently there's a dispute on the location of the culverts and the extent of the sediment traps that are there. And to that extent, there's litigation that's underway with the abutter, and we're scheduled for a hearing date in November to litigate this, and hopefully we can try to find some type of resolution to the situation. But I believe that we've followed all the items that were on the initial order of conditions. There are about 2 or 3 items that are remaining to complete this, and in order to close this file out in the proper fashion, I'm here to request an extension to the order of conditions, so once this work is complete, we can close out the file once the work has been done and been inspected.
Pat?
Yeah, I think it's pretty standard if the work's not complete and there's no reason to stop the project for anything that's going on now. To extend it another period of time is pretty standard. And we spoke with legal counsel too, and legal counsel recommended that we...
Okay.
What is the normal frame of reference for...
Or what are you guys looking for?
I mean,
Or is there one?
we do 3-year extensions.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what I thought.
subdivision almost never finishes in the first 3
Right.
years that the order is in place for, so.
So what are you guys looking for?
We're looking for a 3-year extension.
Oh, okay.
That's what I want to know. Okay, thank
And
And
what,
if it's done sooner, they come in and they ask.
Okay.
Absolutely. See you, right.
okay.
Okay. Penny, any thoughts?
I have no thoughts. I just have a quick question. It wasn't on that, but did you ever fix the crack in the front garden there? The rain garden, remember the crack in the, thing for the water?
In the outlet control structure, I believe the inside was parged, the cement that was,
Yeah.
that was cracked.
Did you fix that?
I believe they were in there,
I hope so.
but we can double check.
Okay, because that just kind of bothered me that it cracked so quickly. No, I have no problem with an extension.
You good?
Good.
Paul?
Good.
Ask the audience.
Anybody in the audience?
Hi. Jeff DeLisi, I represent the abutter on the south side of Clap Road, Frank Snow. The way I view this extension request is an opportunity by this board to get it right. There is new information that is presently available that was not available at the time of the notice of intent and the time of signing and issuing the order of conditions. That new information shows that the drainage pits that are on the south side of Clap Road are in fact on Mr. Snow's property. He was never made an applicant, though your application requires that. When I raised this issue to the commission a few months back, at the time of the requested issuance of the partial certificate of compliance, the statement was made that, thank you very much, and I have a surveyed plan that locates those pits on Mr. Snow's property, but the thought was at the time that Mr. Snow, had he had a beef, should have filed an appeal at the appropriate time. So here we are now, 3 years later. We have this new information. There is work, specifically the last item mentioned by Mr. Iantosca, that is necessary to be done on Mr. Snow's property. And Mr. Snow ought to be an applicant as part of that. The notice of intent plan, if you take a close look at it, you'll see that it does not delineate Mr. Snow's property. Instead, it shows that this work is basically southerly of Mr. Iantosca's property and southerly of Clap Road, with the assumption that it apparently was in the road layout, when in fact that is controverted by the plan that I have from Morse Engineering, which I'm happy to get to the commission. So I think that this is a unique opportunity, though it is standard, I think it's a unique opportunity for the commission now to say, all right, let the order of conditions expire and have the applicant come back with a notice of intent that properly indicates the proper property owner and allows that property owner to have some input here. And I think that should that occur, I think that it would go a long way to resolving some of the issues that are presently before the court. So that's our position.
You know, I agree with Jeff. If we had found out that there's information that's confirmed that, you know, was completed incorrectly in the notice of intent, and the orders were issued to the wrong people, I agree, but right now it's still under dispute. We have Mr. Morse's plan, but we also have a plan that's been approved, and there's been no final decision on this. I know it's going through the court system, and, you know, it may get settled that way, and if it does, and it turns out it's on Mr. Snow's property, we'll have to involve him as one of the property owners, and there may be work required to either remove the structures from there or to purchase them, but that hasn't happened. It's still under dispute. So our legal counsel, it was Jim Murphy at the time, Jim Toomey at the time, He recommended, and then later Brandon Moss recommended, if it was that egregious, we would stop all work now and we would end this. But it isn't. Work's continuing, and it's an extension request, and we should, according to legal counsel, honor that.
Can we get your input on that?
Sure. Attorney Dave DeLuca from Murphy Hesse. Brandon unfortunately can't be here. He may be a bit more familiar, but I think just from an overview standpoint, the four corners of what's requested here is an extension. While I think, and Pat agrees, that there may be some facts in dispute relative to the property lines and who's doing work where, that's really a dispute for another forum on another day. I would urge the board to consider the merits of the request for the extension just on that basis alone. Allow the dispute to play itself out in the proper forum. If there's a decision there, then you certainly have the opportunity to tailor your conditions based upon that.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Jeff?
Thank you. One additional item. I just want the commission to have this plan.
Sure.
So I'll file it, I'll submit it into the record.
Actually, I was going to suggest you give it to Pat, but this is fine.
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
In addition, I just wanted to say that the matter that's presently pending in the courts is separate from the matter that's before you. This commission is a quasi-judicial commission, and you have the authority to make this determination, which is, forget about the facts that are in dispute. The facts that we know are that the approved plan does not delineate anything other than Fern Properties property. So what we know factually is that the culvert and the drainage pits on the opposite side of the road are not a part of this, are not on this project location. And they should be made to be so, whether they're on Mr. Snow's property or town property. And we have an issue with that easterlymost culvert. This commission has every right to require, in fact, I would say that it's obligated to require that the applicant actually set forth who the owner of the property is, make that person the applicant, on whose property the work is being done. And we know that it's not being done on Fern Properties property. So I think that, these issues are different. The issue in front of the land court is an issue of ejectment. The issue in front of this commission is what work is going to be done in these drainage pits that's within 50 feet of a wetland and is essentially creating additional wetlands.
Has the work already been done?
Yeah.
A good portion of the work has been done, but additional work needs to be done.
Okay, on Mr. Snell's property?
Yes.
Well,
We're waiting for the land court to come
Sir,
back.
does that second part flavor your,
No, this is not uncommon in any commission board hearings, that there's decisions made, and then there's, some dispute of fact that continue on beyond that. Sometimes there's new facts that are revealed later on down. That's not necessarily a basis for this commission to reverse itself. It's be like following a moving target. In any case, there's been a decision made, there was an opportunity to appeal at the time, it wasn't. Maybe there's some new facts, there's an opportunity for a new case. They could, amend or move forward with facts in a forum that could, be prepared to decide that. If there were a new application, then you could consider it then, but I would not recommend doing it now.
okay.
is there anyone else? Okay.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to make a motion to continue, to grant the continuance for 3 years?
It's an extension.
The extension, I'm sorry. To Fern Properties for the OOC for 3 years.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait. No. You going to abstain or say no?
I'm going to abstain.
Abstain.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. still got it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, we were
fine.
saying majority of the board and majority of the people that are here, you know, that.
Okay, yeah. No, I knew it'd go, but I
Welcome
just,
back.
I have an issue with how they played this out.
That personal opinion?
Okay.
How do we say that? Is it Raphael? Raphael? Raffle?
Yes.
12 Blanchard Road?
Well, what happened to her?
Martin?
Martin?
Oh, sorry. Martin, 264 Clap Road, remove dead, storm-damaged trees and debris, thank you, Penny, and replant native vegetation. This is continued?
Well, it finally got filed, I'm told, and you have a DEP number. And I did go out there today. She isn't here. The rocks did get moved, the boulders. But the hardscape, I'm upset about the hardscape. There's more hardscape than when we originally went out there, and she had no permission to do the hardscape. She's planted all grass from where the bayberry bush is up to the house.
So you're saying she hasn't done everything that she was supposed to do?
Well, she did extra.
Or she did extra? Oh, stuff that we didn't permit?
We didn't, well, the hardscape, we didn't, she had the patio when we had decided when we originally got out there, but since then, she's put more of those bluestones all around the fish pond and all around, it's like the majority of that whole area where the pergola is too, and the patio is all that bluestone. And there's I don't know what she's doing, but she has the bluestone, you have the pond, then the bluestone. And then she's like dug out another 2 feet wide all the way around. I have no idea what she's doing there.
The pond wasn't supposed to be there in the first place.
But this, remember,
The pond was,
It was there for a while, I
the
think.
pond had been there, okay, and we had told her she could keep it. But my problem is, we bent over backwards. This whole area is the 50-foot buffer, within 5-6 feet of the house. And we allowed her to do her plantings, to move the rocks. Yes, that's wonderful that the rocks got moved, and the back area can just grow natural now. But I think she's overstepping the bounds with the hardscape especially. I don't know if you told her she could grass the whole area in, but she has.
No, I think when we see the notice of intent, and when she's here, we can talk about what the concerns are. Because she just
We do have the notice of intent, we've always had it. She isn't here.
So we
All
gotta
right.
continue.
So let's continue.
Yeah, but we do have,
In the meantime, she's gonna do more.
Well, can we,
I
Put
mean, we can absolutely say, here's what the plan shows, here's what we agreed to, this other stuff has to be removed.
well, can we put a stop work order out?
But I think before our next meeting, I mean, she's obviously out there working.
Right, there was no work approved in the 50-foot to further develop.
The only thing Pat told her she could do was to move the boulders, and she could put some plantings in. End of story. But since then, it's all seeded, and more of the hardscape has gone down, and we never told her we'd allow more hardscape
put
in
a time on
there.
it.
So it's just, I'm just afraid, in 2 more weeks or something, or even in a week, I'll go back out there, and I don't know what I'm gonna find. The big thing was the boulders. I was thrilled to see the boulders had been moved.
Right, so we'll talk to her before the next meeting.
I think,
which is
Pat,
next
I think the frustration. I mean, this has been going on,
Since May, it started.
and she never even filed with the state. I mean, the thing just sort of hung out there, which is crazy.
Yeah, at one point, though, she got a mixed information of whether it was an RDA or an NOI, and then in the end, she filed. So it's only been a shorter time than that she really knew.
But I think we know that there are violations there. To Penny's point, there's a bunch of hardscape now that appears to be being planted or being installed that's not on the plan. I mean, you submit a plan with your NOI,
Right.
and then you build something entirely different.
Right.
And I think also to Penny's point is that I think we need to make it clear immediately that she should stop that work and that we get real clear on just what's being built there. Because we have tried to work
Yes,
with
we
this
have,
and
and
get
I
things
thought we
restored.
bent over backwards.
I just
and-
don't want someone to be thinking just because they delineated where they weren't supposed to work anymore, that anything on the other side of that is okay. It still needs to comply with the plans, because it's all still in a buffer zone.
But if what's there now and she's continuing to do the work, wouldn't this be a more appropriate thing for an enforcement order, or no?
Just call her and
I
tell her,
think
stop it.
that- yeah,
Get
and
in
then-
here.
Doesn't come in.
And yeah, I think that we're going to ask her to stop. If she keeps going, then it's going to be an enforcement order. We'll go from
So let's continue this for next
Yep.
week, and then deal with it. But I think
But
it's
no, but
something,
we're going to call her and tell her to stop, and then ask her to be here next week and talk about the NOI. Yep. You good with that?
Yeah, no, I just, every time I go out there, there's,
Yeah.
oh, it looks lovely, but it's not a buffer zone, that's for darn sure. The animals
So,
can't
motion
live
to
there.
Get a motion to continue to
Yes, I will make a motion to continue to November,
No, next week.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
November 2nd.
yeah, we're on a short cycle here because of
Yeah,
the
well, I know,
meeting
I'm
last
getting,
week.
so, actually.
Carol was
she's gonna
happy
be
to
our
know that we're
first
going
one.
to just meet again next week.
6:30 on November 2nd.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Okay, thank you.
Now we can do Ralph.
Okay.
okay,
Thanks, Penny.
you're welcome.
I knew you were thinking about that. I
Yeah,
don't know how I forgot.
oh, how could you
My
forget?
leg is bruised
Yeah.
on this side.
Number 12 Blanchard Road. On October 26, 2016, during the 6:15 meeting at the Town Hall, the Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of... Oh, I'm doing Brian. Hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws, regarding the application of David what did we say?
Raffle or Raffel?
Rayful.
Grateful.
To build a 28 by 28 unattached garage with living area on property located at 12 Blanchard Road, Scituate. Others and other interested parties are invited to attend. Sorry about that name slaughter.
Oh, that's all right. No worries.
Where is it? Blanchard Road, it's down off of the street. Here it is. Here, you want to look at it. It's a little...
Good evening.
I'm Bob Kroll. I'm representing Land Planning and David Raffel. The two people from Land Planning could make it. One of them is bringing this home over.
There you go.
Going up to the cliff.
So, lot, it's Old Blanchard Road, and it's on the southerly side of Blanchard Road, off of Kent Street, and Seagull Lane is just over it.
Yeah.
There's a salt marsh down here off the property, and this yellow line is offset, and 100-foot offset is up here. The flood zone is an 8E zone, and it's elevation 12, and that's up here. And what they're proposing to do is add a 28 by 28-foot garage with a living space above it. And this is where we're placing it.
So it's between the 50 and
The existing house is a 34 by 24 building, so the garage, they want to put the floor 1 foot above the flood zone.
Take over if you need to.
The slab elevation would be at elevation 13. And I've colored up the orange dots, that would be where the filter sock would be. And that would be the edge of work. So all the work is between, say, 55 feet away from the wetland to within the 100-foot offset.
Well, one of the things that-
But it's within the FEMA.
Yeah, the other thing too is that I think the 2012 map was used for this, and we're using the 2016, so it's actually an AE 14.
Oh, it is.
So that would change probably any structure, some kind of thing. We passed this back in September. We had a vote. What's this? The commission, based on the newer FEMA maps.
Oh, there's a
So
shed out
actually,
there.
FEMA map goes
It's a
all the way
huge
out
yard.
to Blanchard.
It's been there for
In the watershed.
This is the wetlands?
So that's elevation 14, so 14 would bring it right up.
No,
to here.
they're all the way here.
That's the case.
Was it, which,
Elevation
yeah.
14.
This is in the,
That's Street.
That's in the 50, it's been there forever.
Yeah,
So
the
we
new
could
maps.
ask
Is that theirs?
Town GIS.
Yeah.
so,
That's their property.
Is this on, so?
Yes, it is. Yeah, so.
This is the,
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we would hook
this
into
is the
this,
50.
and then
There's the
underground
existing
utilities
shed.
come from the
Right.
house to the,
So,
It's in the 20.
yeah, but it's there.
Yeah.
We could ask them to move it.
It's either September.
Here's the whole overview, which I'd like.
I don't know how long it's been there.
Right, that's the key.
Probably.
Well, let's,
How long it's
let's
been.
address the garage. So Pat, if the change, I don't mean to jump out of place,
No,
but
that's all right.
just in terms of that change in the line, wouldn't that be something that maybe they have to look at in terms of the building? Maybe there's some panels, some flood panels or something?
Flood panels, yeah.
we could do it on the first floor.
Yeah, because it's a garage.
It's a garage.
They're already in the
After
design.
this is
All the
Peggy
flood-
Beach.
They're already in the.
Okay, great, Dave.
Water will come
You have-
in.
you
This
have
will
pictures?
flood in the bay.
I believe I do.
Maybe to
That's a really good idea.
put that, it's not a bad idea.
If you've been
Between the
to,
50 and
building
100.
department over
I don't
there,
have a
Yes.
problem.
Neil or Bob?
Yeah,
Especially if it's above the
And
13.
yeah, it says right on the plan, the flow-through panels as required.
Yeah. So water can go.
what did building say?
Yeah, well, they would have two different things. They'd be looking at structural plans, and also be looking at flood zone elevation, and whether you needed the panels and how many, and they'd also be looking at if you're putting a residential, unit
yeah, so-
above a garage.
Yeah, and that's, understandably, that's not our jurisdiction.
I've already been through the
The ringer. Yeah.
planning board,
Oh,
Yeah.
the zoning board? of
zoning board, yes.
Yeah.
It's all done, yeah.
Well, I guess this is, I might just like to see that shed. How long has that shed been there? That's.
The one that's in the.
Yeah, it,
That was,
in the
that was
river.
rebuilt a few years ago.
yeah, it really shouldn't be where it
Well, there
is.
was an existing shed there, and
Yeah.
I went to the building department, and it was
Yeah,
never...
they'll tell you something
Yeah,
different.
Yeah, but
See, they
just-
don't, yeah.
So
In
I'm
the
sorry,
building
there was-
told you it was okay.
Penny,
Yeah,
there was an shed on that
Yes.
site?
okay,
Okay.
all right. Building isn't the same as though Concom, but it's just, I'm just looking at it. You got a nice big piece of property there that, it's kind of too bad that wasn't out of the 50.
Well, I really didn't want it in my front yard.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. Well, you got a nice big yard there.
But this project is essentially out of the...
Yeah, yeah.
So let's address the issues that are
It's not.
in this project. Bill?
Yeah.
It's out of the what?
Out of the 50.
It's out of the 50.
Yeah.
And smack dab in before the 100, and don't start with me.
I'm not going to start, I'll just quote regulations.
You'd have it from two people down
No, but,
Yes.
in the application too, it should indicate that it is in a resource area. It doesn't mention that, it talks about buffer in here, but it's actually
Okay.
subject to coastal storm flowage. So
Yeah.
that needs to be on something that goes into DEP, so they know that it is in a,
All right, so let's get the pieces that they need to change or add to this plan if we could.
So
So
the
we need to
elevation-
change that FEMA line.
right, in the application, when you do the notice of intent, there's a box you check, and DEP, if they don't see it, they don't think you're in it. So, but, yeah, the A14 issue is
Go ahead, put it here, as long as it's this size.
So that's a change that they have to make on the plan,
Yeah,
okay?
And you're removing the deck. If it's
That's
in the
gone,
back.
yes.
That's gone, and the garage is gonna be partly where the deck is now.
Exactly.
yeah.
See what?
And then we're,
It's
What?
gonna put
What
new
deck?
pavement on.
It's like a
deck.
platform?
Yeah, it's just a platform deck out there.
And
the
we're
yard.
putting more concrete in, too, new pavement?
Well, as far as the driveway, as it exists right now, follows this, goes to the front corner, comes here, and then it goes over to about 3 feet from the back of the house. So they're just adding this area right in here.
So we're adding more impervious into the
Yep.
100 area, yeah, okay.
Well, it actually stops at the 100.
It's outside of the 100.
Yeah, it's right outside.
That part of it is, you're right.
Yeah.
Richard?
I don't have any additional questions at this time. We got to get the elevation straightened out, first of all.
And
I might want to ask, well, it's too early to ask. We need to get the plans right first, then I'll ask.
Well, if there's something that they can bring
Well, I
through.
mean, if
We
it's,
can address it now.
well, I would simply say if there's a way not to make it new pavement and to make it pervious, that always is a help. Even though you're on the line or even outside the 100, that's a help, because you've got a lot of stuff that is in the 100.
Or you could come back and pave it later and not even visit with us because it's outside the
But it's floods,
jurisdiction.
no, it's all our jurisdiction. It's all
okay.
flood
Well,
zone, so.
the one thing is, as we have it shown now, it's at elevation 13, and we're going to be ramping up to it. So we do need it to be paved.
Paul?
No questions.
I don't have anything.
I mean, I think it is fair to ask the increase in impervious within flood zone, you know, like,
Yeah.
because the garage is pretty good size, and then there's some driveway, so what percentage of impervious increase in flood zone? Because we're trying to really limit the amount of impervious areas so that we get more infiltration and we get less, storm waves running into other people's property.
I don't know,
What if we did some,
because he doesn't want to do it in his front yard.
some infiltrators or something?
Yeah, we probably asked for that anyway, but
Yeah.
even, is there an area of driveway that could be reduced? I know you're trying to get the current one to extend to the garage, but maybe there's another
Are
area.
we talking just the asphalt between where it stops and where it would be?
Maybe
Yeah.
eliminate
And
this
the
over here.
driveway's gonna stop
Yeah, I
there?
mean, I could,
No,
that's no problem, or I don't necessarily
This is
have to
garage,
pay
too.
between,
Well, that's
It's
honestly what I was saying,
28
is if there's a way that it doesn't have to be paved, could it be shells or
I could sprinkle popcorn out there.
that would mean taking out, well, yes, that's right, you could sprinkle popcorn, it might not stay out well. but-
No, the
Give it a
seagulls
shot.
will like it.
What was the grade change between the garage and the driveway? What do you,
It looks like about 12 to 14.
Well, we had it at elevation 13, and
Yeah.
it's, this front corner here, right there is elevation 12, so there's a foot rise there, so, I mean, it should be paved, I mean. s-
it's a relatively steep
Yeah, it was
grade,
relatively steep.
and
We're
you,
gonna have to, yeah, what if we
and you're trying to raise the garage up so, to avoid flooding in the garage.
eliminated that? And that would almost equal, that would be.
That
already exists.
Not really paved
Yeah,
like
no,
that anyway.
that's already there.
It's paved, oh, no, I'm sorry, that is, that's the corner right there.
Eliminated that. That would
We're just really permitting.
equal this area here.
That's it.
Yeah, then I could just walk through the mud, I guess, to get into my house.
Where's the-
Or you could do something like pervious pavers.
Yeah, I mean, I'll change something if,
Right.
if.
There's a way, you could,
I
I
have no
think,
problem
avoid
with
the
doing
mud
that.
and still make something
No,
pervious.
absolutely, I have no problem with putting down pavers or something like that. That's no problem at all.
But that's not
I could probably even do an apron going into the garage with pavers,
Yeah,
for that matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be asphalt.
Right.
that would look nice.
That would be helpful,
Yeah,
something like that.
but that's fine.
But we're still gonna need revised plan, I'm not the expert, but I think we're still gonna need revised plans that are
And
gonna
the-
bring us up to the,
Yeah,
to the new.
Sure.
So we're gonna continue?
Yeah, but I don't know how far out they want to go.
So if you're raising the floor of the garage, then you're gonna be bringing a lot more fill. If you gotta come up a couple of feet.
I'll let Steve
But
and Dave and you talk over it. I just stepped in.
Let's see the shed.
Get involved.
So you're gonna, I mean, it looks to me, we would want that calculation, but it seems to me like the grade through the garage right now, the existing grade is 10, the slab's gonna be at 13. So there's about a 3-foot rise in that area that you're gonna displace or fill. I mean, we've had this discussion before about how does that impact an area like this. The thing is that this is a basin that runs from Scituate Harbor or out into the ocean. And I think we've had those discussions before about whether that amount of material has any detrimental effect on
Right, I was
on
just
this.
thinking if they come in with the expectation they're gonna have to come up to 12, now they have to go to 14, you're gonna be raising the garage, quite a bit, so.
Right.
Right, we'd need a foundation plan with a grading plan, wouldn't you say, or?
Well, I think we at least need to know what's going to happen. More than likely, if the garage is going to have to come up higher. Is that required, though, or does the garage have to be at that elevation? I think they can choose the elevation in
They're
a...
gonna have panels.
Right, we've
Right.
allowed garages
So the
that...
garage doesn't necessarily, I mean, we're making an assumption that that's going to change, but the garage floor could stay at 13.
Yeah, it could, but a lot of times people
It
won't
would
want
make
that.
sense to move it up. I would-
You would,
What's that?
I would do it as
Yeah,
you suggest,
that's
keep
it,
it at 13 and.
So...
That's what I would prefer as well.
So the garage is going to stay at 13, there's this incline from the driveway coming up to the garage, so there's some material that has to go there.
Get everything up off the floor of your garage.
There's never been water anywhere near, it's never made it, not even halfway up the backyard.
Right.
Even in the worst of storms. I know the people, I bought the house from the original owners that had it, that bought it from Jimmy Blanchard way back when, in '52.
So I guess you're hearing the concern of the commission that maybe some impervious areas would be better than
I know Jim Blanchard.
than pavement,
I have no
if you
problem
can
with
figure
doing
out how to
that.
do
Absolutely.
some of that. That's,
Like the pavers, anything like that, as long as I can drive up it to get into the garage, that's all I really care about.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd rather not dig up the existing driveway. If I could do that, just the incline with pavers, that would be
sure.
ideal, you know.
Well, with your grade change, you could probably just put some sand and pavers down, or stone dust and
Exactly,
pavers.
yeah.
It's only a
Right,
foot.
right.
Right.
Okay, so how far out?
Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions for this project? Okay.
I wouldn't think that, when's the next meeting?
We have a meeting
Next
a week
Wednesday.
from today.
3 weeks from now.
Probably not.
3 weeks.
The
So 3 weeks
16th?
would be good, I'm sure.
You don't think you can get back with these changes by next week, or?
Maybe you could, all right, tentatively, let's say we'll do it.
Why don't we continue to next week?
and then you just let us know, we can push it.
Do we need to get plans in for the meeting, or? Is that-
Yeah, tomorrow.
Well, they have to notify DP too, right?
Well, on that check thing, that's not a big deal, we can do
Okay,
that.
all right.
So if they had some plans back in here by first of next week,
Sure.
would be okay with that?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not
just
like
the
we,
flood,
it's
right,
really
just
just
the
looking at a
flood
new
zone.
flood line and a notation of the pervious paving in that apron would be, I think the things that we need to add, is that what we mean?
Yeah, I don't know if roof drainage off a garage that size is,
It's 28 by 28, that's a good-sized garage.
You just want to require dry wells or something like that?
yeah.
or-
It's already in the plan, there is a French drain down one side of the garage. Between that and-
There's a swale on this side.
Yeah.
Yeah, the swale.
Yeah, I see it.
Oh, okay.
We could take some downspouts and put them into some infiltrators, I guess.
Okey-dokey.
I mean, when that area is flooded, that's not gonna matter at all.
Right.
Just a rainstorm.
What do they say, the ocean has unlimited volume?
Yes.
And he's already got a swale between him and his neighbor, so the water that's running out here is going out on their lawn. I mean,
So, motion for next week?
Anybody in the audience?
No, we already did that.
You already did that, okay. I make a motion that we continue 12 Blanchard Road to November 2nd at 6:40.
Second.
Okay?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Nash, 22 Indian Trail, remove deck, same footprint, kitchen, porch, and deck. On October 26, 2016, at 7:10 PM in the Town Hall, the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws, and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of James Nash to demolish a 49 by 14-foot deck for a kitchen expansion, screen porch, and deck in the same footprint on property located at 22 Indian Trail, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Didn't we see you before?
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, yes. Good to see you all again. It was, yes.
That was the, is this
I'm sitting here
doable?
thinking, I've heard this before.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure this all out on our own, so. Yes, yes.
What was the nice one? Starts flipping through.
It came in informal.
These are probably the most complete set of plans I've ever seen in my life.
I did.
There's structural, there's
Are you-
this, there's that.
Okay.
Is he an architect? Are you an architect?
Close to the wetlands, but it's like, it's already concrete.
Well, he's got a ton of them. Everything's
Are you
there.
an architect, sir?
I'm not, no.
Think about
Who did
it.
these?
We did not do it. James Fosdick, Cedarville Design.
Okay,
Oh,
well, they're very complete.
oh, good.
They're so complete, I got very confused.
Which doesn't take much extra.
Hey,
Hey.
be nice,
Well, I oughta.
be nice.
Yeah.
And it had a packet underneath.
Right.
And it was cement.
Yeah, underneath.
I mean, he's got everything there.
Yeah, except, where are we?
Is there any elevation issue or anything
Oh, on the site.
No, it was
Nothing.
just.
Yeah, but we already know, as long
BBW,
as he uses the same footprint.
Right.
I have the
Okay,
original
yeah.
site plan as well, if you need to look at that.
I think we should have a site plan.
Yeah, the site plan is probably even more important than all this other.
So this was from a 2013 septic.
Where's the filing? You have a,
Oh, we have one here. There's one here.
Oh.
I got it.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, actually, no, we need that.
I need that.
there's Indian Trail. And,
150.
see, the whole house is in there.
Right side out.
And it already has the deck and the cement pad underneath the deck. and
Correct.
Right.
You're just staying within that
Correct.
pad.
Right.
The deck is in disrepair, so the
Yes,
plan is to
I-
replace what is there.
And who delineated the wetland on this one?
I believe it was Brad Holmes. It's on the site plan.
And this is from your septic work? That's,
Yes. So we just purchased the house a month ago.
are the flags still in place? The wetlands flags?
I don't believe so.
The critters took them.
Yeah, Brad Holmes.
Where's,
I mean, the wetlands out there back door.
There'll be a reason.
I do have a picture of the yard that you could sort of see what,
yeah, is there a plot plan?
No, that's closest thing we cut. These are just the,
But, Pat, was this plot plan submitted with these plans?
No.
This one here is the non-stamp one, C1.
Can I see, do you have C1?
Right here.
no.
so our architect took the 2013 plot plan and superimposed it on his drawing.
I think in that you have and the work you're proposing, I think is something that the commission could allow. It's just that legally, we need stamped documents and we need wetland reports, and they go into DEP. And a lot of times, people that fill these out all the time know that. And, you know, we talked briefly, but we didn't get all the information.
But-
I guess that
Yeah,
I don't really understand. It's the same existing footprint.
Yes.
So what is our concern here?
Well, the plan that has all the information is from a septic project in the past, it's not for this project. And the wetland line,
Essentially, what
It's superimposed.
this architect did was took Greg Morse's plan and overlaid that.
Yeah, I understand, but there's nothing changing from the existing footprint. So why are we concerned about this?
well,
Because
first of all, it's using Mr. Morse's plan that, you know, you have to pay for a plan. You can't take somebody's plan and superimpose it. That's against the law.
Wait, if I can, Pat is saying there really probably is no issue here, but we need to have stamped plans, have to have it done in a formal way so that it can be backtracked if we have a need to historically, just to see that everything
Go
was
into
With the
files.
required certified paperwork for this application.
Yeah.
In concept, you're right. It's using the same footprint, there should be no issue, but we still need the plans that are involved.
Because it triggered a notice of intent. If it were an IDA, you can take other plans, it's not as formal, but a notice of intent, you know, you're setting wetland lines for the next 5 years, you have standards that you have to meet around the structural work too.
the wetland lines were established 3 years ago. I'm not arguing with those at all. It's putting it right at the edge of our house.
Right, and if the person that did that had a report, if they had some narrative and said.
Can we
"Here's how I
reference the
do it,"
file that should be here already? All that paperwork is here. We're completely in agreement with it. We don't want to challenge that at all.
I'm still thoroughly confused as to why this even triggered an NOI. I don't understand what is,
It's within 20 feet of a wetland.
but it's an existing structure that's all ready, and they're not going outside of that.
We do NOIs when a project is this close and of this significance to wetland. I mean, theoretically, you can't build this without stepping in the wetlands.
And I would argue that it's a lawn area that's,
I understand, but it's to the point that there is a wetlands line and it's right along the back of the house. You know, they're gonna have to remove a deck and then reconstruct this. And we told them that because there was a deck there and because there was a patio there, that this would more than likely be an allowed project. I don't think anybody's arguing about that.
Okay, there we go.
It's about making sure that we have the proper information on an NOI.
And are you going to require, or do you think you should require a narrative about the construction of the structure itself in terms of its impact on the wetland? Is that what I just heard you say? I'm not sure.
Well, I think it would. I mean, certainly a narrative from a wetlands person would make that statement that there's no, and maybe it's a no-brainer. Maybe we're looking at this and we can almost see where the vegetated line is and that this is grass. And you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know that you're not going to really damage anything in that area, but there's still some procedure that should take place. And I think that the biggest piece is that you're basically taking a plan that was done for septic. Not that that base information couldn't all be used, because it certainly can, and we already approved that. But we were really looking at something out here. We didn't have any worry about what was happening here. The activity that was permitted was a septic system that's way over here, and the only other work that got closer was these tanks and filters. This plan was not done for this project. This plan was drawn for this project.
Well, I don't see how, I don't see the additional impact to the wetlands with this.
and this is frankly very frustrating. I reached out the day after I was in for the informal to Pat to ask if this would be sufficient, and I did not hear a response.
Well, I think I said,
You know, I don't-
this is a project that would be possible to do, and you can go look up on your own how to do a notice of intent. And all of that is in there. There is information in there saying stamp plans by an engineer, current wetland review. I mean, we can't doing all the work for the applicants, we're pretty busy in here.
Okay,
And
that's fine.
so it's up to you to follow the rules.
I don't think we're talking about this can't be done. I think there's just some missing information, just like the project before this, that's missing a flood line, and that's missing some pieces. And I think those pieces just need to be...
No, I disagree.
Okay.
Because that's a completely new structure that's going in, and considerably more square footage going in to an area where there was nothing before. This is the exact same footprint. And the liberal judge here is always underscoring that.
Well, no, so but the road you're going down is we can start doing NOIs without engineer stamped drawings. We can just use
Well, why
whatever
don't we
think.
figure out what does this gentleman need to make this a complete application?
Pat did reach out to me this afternoon and let me know that you would probably need a stamp. So I contacted our architect, and he said he could have somebody stamp his plans, if that would be...
Okay.
You boys decide, I'm going to the ladies' room. You decide what you want.
So aside from a stamp plan, what about any more description on the wetlands, Pat? I mean, is that...
We could allow a wetland report that was done 3 years ago be used, but again, we can't be hunting down information all over the building for somebody's project. I mean, I didn't even know they had a septic site out there, so, I mean, we could possibly use it, but we didn't go dig it up. We don't.
Somewhere on this plan, it should note...
It did, it was Brad Holmes in 13, over on the, I think it was C1.
On the C1, he said?
Yeah.
The one you got in your hand, I think is what.
Bottom left, under notes.
Yeah. I was looking, they made a note that this was a wetlands line by Brad. I was looking on this plan to see if Brad elaborated.
There's more.
That's soils.
Soil testing. Cool.
That's all that was noted.
Three years, 3 months.
So maybe in that notice for that septic, there might have been a letter or something.
I'm sure there would have been either DEP data forms or a narrative, here's what I found, and he does soils too. I mean, he's reputable.
So maybe you look at that notice of intent to see if there's any other information from Brad Holmes.
And I can get that here?
You should be able to get that form of notice, yep.
Okay.
All right, the stamp plan. We have a construction plan. What about is there additional foundation or footings?
They're on here.
On there. To the extent we can use the existing, we'll use them.
They've got a girt
Well, there's also,
with footings.
can you see these?
Do you know how they plan to do that?
Frank, did you see these?
I think there's a drawing of the foundation plan.
I'm staying out of it.
So would we want to see any sort of erosion control, or, I mean, they're gonna dig this with an excavator, I assume?
I don't think, they couldn't fit one back there, I don't
There's
think.
no way you could fit anything. There's a huge.
There's a shed next to the garage.
There's a garage, there's a small walkway between a garage and the house, and then there's a shed smack dab in the middle going to the backyard.
So you think all these are gonna get dug by hand?
I think they'd have to, but
And the other side of the house is very narrow, and there's an oil tank on it, so either way, there's.
there's no ingress, put it that way.
Okay. Well, I think that's important to know, just in terms of, I mean, we're so close to this wetlands line, what gets disturbed? Do you-
Understandably.
I mean, typically, when someone's doing work along that line, if there's any kind of earthwork or whatever, we require some sort of erosion control or whatever. If that's not going to be the case, if it's simply excavating by hand and then taking that material away, and just as an example, so that you don't think that this is, in a lot of cases, we have one right now that we've allowed someone to do some work, and they're doing the addition outside of the restricted area, but they wound up dumping all the material in a wetland, or in a resource area. So it's up to the commission to look at these things and try to avoid those potential issues.
Sure. And we totally, we respect the commission's.
So that's what we're trying to get to. And I'm sure it's frustrating when you get to some things and you don't see that, but the notice of intent has a series of requests for that, requirements that just need to be hit. And I think you're pretty close. It's just a matter of getting a few of those pieces. If they've got a person that will stamp that plan, I think if you can find that notice, if there's any sort of information from Brad, if there's anything beyond that, you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
The work that they were proposing in this, and the reason we conditioned it.
I get it.
Was not this close to it. So we just need to be assured that that's protected. I also, and for us to, we try to understand what each project has. We see a wetlands line, but you can see the vegetated areas, so we get an idea that there is some lawn out here. Just happens to be that it's wetlands, but it's by soil.
Right.
You can get a copy of the plan from Greg's office, if you want to. They could probably just spit it out.
Okay.
Well, they've got a plan, and I think you could look at that notice of intent and get whatever other information you needed. Are you concerned, what do you think about any sort of limit of work or something like that?
The wetland line wouldn't have changed, and the report would still be the same. You gotta be real careful about someone else's plan, though, someone else's stamped plan. You'll get sued if you...
Well, that's up to the person that's gonna stamp that plan has gotta make that decision. Who's ever gonna submit a drawing that's stamped.
If it's a zone.
Yeah, well, they're the ones that gotta, to deal with that, right?
Yeah, you're taking a risk.
Well, like I say, if somebody else was gonna stamp a drawing and give it to us, that's their...
That's their problem.
Right? If they do the diligence and make sure that information's correct, then who am I to say that it's wrong?
The purpose of the stamp. Right. That it's authorizing it.
How about a limit of work, Pat?
You're a long way from the vegetated wetlands, you're on a lawn, so.
Right.
If you're not using equipment to get out there, you could just, put a couple of hay bales or something.
Right.
Well, even a
Self-control, yeah.
Just something, all we don't want people to do is to totally trample any of the wetlands piece, so,
They wouldn't even be close, but we'll do whatever you need.
Sometimes you have.
some simple
runoff.
fencing or something like that, that just limits how far. And again, what happens, and maybe it's not happening here, but people go to build some of these things, next thing you know, somebody's moving stuff with a bobcat, and then the bobcat's off in the woods or something. It seems bizarre, but believe me, when I tell you, we've seen them, it's like a Geico commercial, whatever. Anything else? mean, I think that's what they're looking for, is what else do they need to come back to us?
So is this a situation where we need to come back in for a hearing?
Well, what we would do is continue this hearing. In other words, you've done all your filing, right? We have another meeting next week.
Okay.
Because with the town meeting, normally we're 2 weeks apart, but because of the town meeting, we're going to have a meeting next week. If you can grab those couple of things and get them together and get them back to us by Monday, we should be able to do this by Wednesday, I would think. Does that seem reasonable?
I mean, we can even get them Wednesday, we know what we're looking for.
Right. Okay.
You're close.
It's been a long
We're
haul.
also running on trying
We have
to
a
get
young
this-
family, and my wife is due soon, so
Okay.
it's a lot going on.
All right. You've got the pieces, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so I make a motion. Do you think you can get that stuff to us before?
I have to, so.
Okay, you have to. You're a good man.
Can I have that back?
Sure.
I make a motion to continue.
Is there anybody in the audience that wanted to speak to this? I'm sorry.
Give them all these ones.
This one?
No, I think these are ours.
These are ours.
Those are around 5. All right.
6:45 on November 2nd.
Throw it away.
Second.
Do whatever you want.
Guys, there's a motion on the floor.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Why don't I just fill out the NOI?
Huh?
Why don't I just fill out the NOI too? to fill out all of them?
No, I know.
So, there's a whole bunch of steps they have to take under a notice of intent. It's a legal document, becomes an order of conditions, it's 5 years out, it's not just an IEA drawing a picture. It really is.
Yeah, I believe,
And if
I-
you take someone else's plan, all over the place. So it's,
No, it is what it is.
This
An
is what it
RDA,
is.
an NOI requires what it requires.
Sometimes you do your best to help people move things along, but they do have to complete all the requirements that are in that filing. I mean, it's not unreasonable to do that piece of it. McCarthy, number 10 Country Club Circle, garage bay, living space relocate there. On October 26, 2016, at 7:20 PM in the Town Hall, the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40, Massachusetts General Laws, and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Patricia McCarthy to add a bay to the garage, relocate deck, and driveway paving on property located at 10 Country Club Circle, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for your time this evening. I'm John Rogers. I live at 42 Mary's Lane, to Scituate, Mass. My wife is behind me, Mary Ellen Rogers, and my mother-in-law is Pat McCarthy. What we're doing here is consolidating households, and in order to do that, we need some expanded living space. So what we would propose here is to add an existing garage bay to the existing dwelling and move what we call the princess porch, which is an elevated deck that is on 4 legs to the end of the existing home as you see it on the plan. That's pretty much it. As far as additional pavement that you had just mentioned, I'm looking at the plans, and it wouldn't be as extensive as drawn out there. It would just literally be, if you're looking at this right here, you'll see a bump out right here. It would be straight across. There's no need to basically extend the driveway any further than the proposed garage. So, and looking at this map, all of this work, or the majority of this work, is outside the 100-yard, 100-foot delineated line there. So that's pretty much what we're looking to do.
I think it's a flood area, is that what?
Yeah, the whole thing is in the AE flood zone, so that's why it becomes
there
a
only one
resource
plan?
area.
Well, yeah, that's mine, but you're more than welcome to look at it, boys. and girls.
And he's gonna share.
I'm the only one that
This one has gotten a little complicated, because I was out there today to do a site visit, and the house is in the process of being elevated right now, so I guess there was some information given that because it was in the same footprint, you didn't need to file with us, but it was inaccurate information, and it actually should have been a filing with us, but...
Oh, to
we're gonna
raise it
try
up?
to-
Yeah.
We're gonna try to work it. I mean, if you see on the plan, on the site plan, it's a house elevation, but that was, that, they were
I see
told
that?
that that wasn't new footprint, so they didn't have to. They didn't have to file, so it's inadvertent, error.
Yeah.
But it is now a house being elevated in a flood zone, is looking for a garage. So the bordering vegetated wetland is not really much of an issue, it's 100 feet away.
Yeah.
I had been out to this house about a year ago, we measured out from, and, but now it's...
Well, so what do we have to do? Can we combine the two together?
Good question. I think, yeah, maybe we could, I don't know what to say.
Is there an NOI? Can I see that?
Yes.
This is all new information, obviously, to us this
Yeah, the
evening.
flood zone just changed that area too. We voted to go with the new FEMA maps in September, so this, we might not have even been in the flood zone, just barely in it, but now it's AE11, so whatever you're thinking of elevating now, make sure you get to the right height above that, which is, I don't know if it's 2 feet. It's an AE zone.
Yes, that's what.
Okay, yeah, make sure you check with building that you're going high on. 'cause you don't
We
wanna
have.
get-
Yeah.
Because the work you're doing now, if you were just putting a second floor on, you wouldn't have to go through us.
Mhm.
But when you're elevating, you're excavating around and you're putting in, cribbing and everything, so that really would have triggered filing with us for that work too. But now you filed for something else, and maybe we can work this into it somehow, as part of the same project.
I don't know.
Since they're already in the works.
Yeah, we're in the it's already lifted.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
It's up, going up.
I mean, isn't that the whole, the kind of concept about elevating is just stay out of the...
You're right.
You're right, so...
Great thing, right.
Yeah, so this isn't a bad thing, I thought.
No, well, it's not, there's no permit for it, that's the bad thing. The work itself is good, we encourage it, but this is the first one I've ever seen slip by without a filing, and I know why it happened, and it's not...
Okay. As I said, this is news to us right now as we sit here.
Right.
So what's the process of doing that?
We're still thinking what we can do. I mean, I think we should look at the project as it came into us with the garage, the driveway, and that, and those are pretty simple issues.
Okay.
And how we tie this house back in, whether we look at a revised plan or an amended plan or something, I don't know.
Yeah, to do the elevation, because somebody told them to go ahead and do it.
So, question for you, this is a raised ranch, so the first floor is like basement,
It's a walkout.
It's a walkout.
Finished walkout in the back.
okay?
Yeah.
And so how are you elevating? Are you just adding to the top of the foundation, or?
I'm Frank Ahern, the contractor. We're building 8-foot, take the 4-foot knee walls out and build 8-foot knee walls.
Okay.
So we're just raising it to 4 feet.
And then fill in the basement?
We're gonna run floor joists across from foundation to foundation.
I see.
We thought this was a good thing.
No, it is a
Not that
good...
it's bad, like, building a house is a good thing, but you need a building permit
Yeah.
to build a house. So, yeah, that's all.
We're just trying to lift it above the flood waters. That's what we're trying to do.
So but I guess, Pat, maybe I need a little clarification. So they got a building permit to elevate their home,
Right.
correct?
Yes, correct.
You have a building, and the building inspector issued that.
Yes.
Right.
And at the time, you didn't propose the garage addition?
I spoke with Bob, the building inspector, and asked him, would it be possible to do 2 permits so we could get going on the
Right.
elevating the house while we went in front of conservation for the garage.
So that was the scenario, that
Yes.
you got a building permit to elevate the home, and that's outside the 100. So what would have triggered?
Flood zone.
Flood zone. Right. Okay. So
But was it at the time?
No, it was flood zone.
how long ago did you start?
It's just the heights that have
Yeah.
changed.
It's always been.
So technically, because it's in the flood zone, it should have come before us. But
Right.
obviously, they didn't do that intentionally.
Right.
Well, they wouldn't be in there.
Right, so they wouldn't have had a building permit if, right.
So now, they're here before us for this garage that barely ticks the 100, right?
Because of the flood zone.
But it's still the flood zone.
But it's still the flood zone. So I don't really necessarily see what else we have to deal with.
Well, the garage will have to meet flood zone standards,
Elevation was, right?
Okay.
the, breakout panels or.
That's all figured.
Okay.
Right.
So that has to be met. That requirement has to be met.
Yeah, there was no wetland flagging done for there's a drainage, it almost looks like an intermittent stream that runs in the back from the golf course toward Musquashkett.
Yep.
It's been dry all summer.
Yeah,
Well, but that's why they call it intermittent.
yeah. Right, you're lucky it's not flowing year
But it's
round.
not on any FEMA map, that man-made creek, you don't see it on any of the FEMA maps.
No, it wouldn't be on.
We're not worried
FEMA.
about that.
It would be on- It's on a wetland map, it's
Oh,
on
okay.
the town wetland map, because any stream like that usually has wetland vegetation growing off the side, so, that should have been flagged.
Well, so the top of the bank, somebody marked the top of the bank. Who did this plan? Lowell Associates?
Yes.
So someone marked the top of the bank.
Yeah, there's no bank, it's not a perennial stream, or, it's a.
So you're saying it's the wrong resource area on this plan?
Well, it's a wood and vegetated wetland on the side of the bank that's not shown,
Okay.
but it's on GIS, town GIS is bordering wetland. So usually someone will go out there and flag the wetlands, tell us what's out there, show us the limits. Sometimes it goes into lawn areas, they'll do soils, and it's into.
So we don't really know what the wetland line is?
Right.
So these offset lines are not from a
Right.
from a wetland, they're only from what they're calling the top of the bank. So that wetlands line could be anywhere.
But what were you looking at when you were out there?
I was asked if it was possible to do a project out there, and I wasn't.
So you did, yeah.
So,
Okay.
and I was out in the summer, I think I met you, and I was out there with someone who asked me to take a look. I said, yeah, this project would be possible. But the building permit never came through our office. If there's any type of work near a wetland, it usually comes to our office. And in this case, just someone that wanted to go up, and he didn't, think to mention it, so. Look through.
Did it ever come in to be signed off?
No, because they don't send like doors, windows, and second floor additions into us. It's groundwork, anything with groundwork.
I got you. So technically, there was no groundwork because the foundation's already in place.
Right.
Okay.
Makes sense now.
It was a slip.
So, do you think it's necessary to have a wetlands line defined on this, for this piece, given the distance in the site?
We want to know how far it is out from the wetlands.
But if we're saying that the bordering vegetated wetlands is, I guess it all depends on how immediate it is to the creek.
Right.
Right.
There's an area of wetland plants out there.
Crick. You people, where are you from, the Midwest? A crick?
Yeah, I just made that up.
Creek.
So here's that. So the wetland could be anywhere. Well, what's your suggestion, Pat?
Much of the work is outside of the 100. It's probably not a tough project to approve, it's just that we need to know where the wetlands are, and, I don't know how we fold this other part of the project back in.
Can we do an amended order?
You could.
We don't have,
We don't have an order to amend.
Not yet.
You can do an amended filing.
Right, that's, all right. And we're trying to, I think it's probably what it requires. We're trying to figure out a way to Make it as less
Do both at once, so
burdensome
you're
as we
legal
can.
all the way
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, so just put an amended filing in.
Steve wants to tell us.
Go ahead.
It might be easier than that. I know the flood maps have changed, but under the local conservation rules and regulations in our bylaw, you have to go by the July 17, 2012 map. And if this is not in the district in 2012, it may just be a building inspector's issue, not a Concom issue, because this actually should be changed in your regulations to reflect the new map.
It is.
You had a
Yeah.
public hearing, you
Yeah.
already did that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did do that.
You didn't hear me run those spiel that out stuff off?
Yeah, we did. We really did. Yeah.
You missed it, Stephen.
I stand corrected.
You're sitting corrected, but that's okay.
Somebody document that.
I was
Wrong. How's that?
Make a big note.
Doesn't happen often.
All capital letters, Carol.
All right, so let's just get these guys to where they need to go with this.
In the amended order?
An
Amended
amended
filing.
filing.
Amended filing.
With the wetlands line.
Right, got the wetlands lines set.
And then they should be set.
Yeah, I mean, the amended filing also lets the butters and other residents know that it's also a house elevation, you know?
Well, they can obviously see that right now.
And they already have the,
But they couldn't go to a hearing because there wasn't, a building doesn't require hearing.
but they have a butter notices.
They didn't show up for this one, so I don't think.
But you got to talk about a garage.
About a garage.
All right. I think the
Well-
amended filing,
Let them know what they need to come back to.
So what do you think, flagging? Get the,
I mean, on that piece, there's a area of wetlands about as big as this table. It's next to it. We could, you know, because the town's partly involved, I could do that.
Okay.
So all we needed is
But-
a, oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I mean, the main reason for an amended filing would be to get a butter notifications and, you know, tell the true scope of the project.
You probably have a rough idea by now.
So could that be done without an amended thing and then just amend the order once we issue it? I don't know.
Well, somebody's got to make a
It is
decision.
plain to do an
So-
amended filing.
So, is the only reason for the amended filing, or would the basic justification or need for the amended filing be to notify the abutters?
Well, that's one of them, but I mean, you also.
Oh, there's
wanna-
other things.
Yeah, if you're elevating a house, you want to have it on a plan. It's a flood zone, and you want to have that
Okay.
all on a plan.
All
Well,
right,
they
so-
must have to have a plan.
Pat's trying to figure out how to make the paperwork catch up with the work that's going on.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, and
This is the
because I
first
was
one
wondering
like
if there
this
was a way
before
to
Dad, yeah.
go around and get the neighbors noticing without notices,
Right.
without doing this, but then there are other issues
Well, there was
kind of layered into
There's
this.
a building permit in the window, so neighbors are saying, oh, well, they went through the building permit. So
Yeah,
what you did,
It did. Right.
okay.
so,
You know what?
Can I have
Maybe,
all of my
maybe
stuff
we could run
back?
this by legal counsel and say, is there a solution to this that isn't a refiling?
owners.
I'm just, if they were,
They took all my stuff.
how many butter cards were,
I think
Eight.
is there any reason, do you think most of those people are,
They're our friends.
so, I guess if there's something simple as that the abutters were notified that we're gonna continue this hearing to next week, and that, there's an amended what?
Filing.
Amended filing.
Amended filing, just so that they know that that's happening. And then they're welcome to attend if they have a concern, which I don't like heck.
Yeah.
I realize that you're trying to make this.
Right.
Right, and so I'm just wondering if that simplifies that. If there's only 8 abutters and they,
Yeah, let me bring that up with Dave DeLuca tomorrow. I'll
all
give
right?
him a call.
And if it could be something as simple as those people
That
just.
sounds like a good idea. You could notify them that you're amending it to include the elevation of the house.
Right.
And you'll probably have the same thing, nobody.
And then we have that wetlands piece on here, and then we can go.
Right, and we don't stop the work that's going on right now. I mean, it's.
I don't have a reason to.
Do all the steps, you got building permit. And then we'll make a vote on the other piece next week.
Yep.
All right.
We want to talk to the people.
They're already aware of that. We've talked to them each individually,
I think
and
if
now
you-
they can see it.
Yeah, no, but I think it may be a simple explanation is just that you had to amend your filing, they were notified, and if they just sign off that.
That keeps us from having.
Okay,
So
or
we
give
can
them an
go
opportunity to have a
door-to-door
voice next.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
If they wanted to.
That keeps us from.
If they
having
wanted to,
do
right.
violence.
Awesome. So how would that go out in a legal, in a letter or?
Let me find
Yeah,
out.
let-
I can go door to door, if that's acceptable.
Yeah, that's
I will go
acceptable.
door to door, and I
That'd
can
be
have them
easier.
sign something.
Yeah,
That's
It'd be
not-
better than have all 8 of them come next week and say that they're happy with it.
They may be following our footsteps.
There you go,
They're like,
that's right.
This is a good idea, so we're trendsetters.
If she went and actually told them and then they signed that they got this, would that work?
That's part of it. There may be a more,
So we would wait to hear from you?
yeah,
Okay.
let me talk to Dave.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure he's never heard of this one either before, but.
Leave it to us. Right.
All right. Nevertheless, we've got to continue it.
All right, I make a motion to continue McCarthy 10 Country Club Circle to 6:50 on November 2nd.
First thing up next Wednesday,
Well,
second.
Second.
6:50.
Oh, 6:50, not first, but not far down the list.
I second that motion.
Is there anybody in the audience? I think you're just about it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it's moved and seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
thanks,
you.
ladies and gentlemen.
Can I have all my files back?
No.
And you took the filing too, the notice.
You're entitled, I speak for this end of the table, you can have any papers down here.
No, I just want what I need.
Right.
What you need?
Pat, do we want to,
Well, since no one else brings stuff.
Steve, we gotta, I thought you were just jumping in.
I'm jumping in.
No, we've got something on the list for you.
We have one RDA that I don't think anybody's here for, so I wonder if we just ought to open it and continue it.
It's been opened in.
Is there anybody, no, we haven't.
Oh, this is a new one.
Is anybody here for T. Barry O'Brien at 19 Kenilworth, asphalt driveway where concrete's been removed? Is anybody here for that? So on October 26, 2016, during the 6:15 meeting at the Town Hall, Scituate Conservation Commission will act on the request of T. Barry O'Brien for a determination of applicability of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Scituate Wetlands Bylaw to asphalt a driveway in the same footprint as previous concrete slab on property located at 19 Kenilworth Street, Hummerock. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. So there's nobody here for that, so I'm just gonna, would take a motion that we continue 19 Kenilworth till our next meeting. Pat, there's nobody here for Kenilworth?
I'm surprised.
It's been advertised, we're just gonna open it.
Oh, he went to Florida.
So, what does that mean?
All right, so
Do we wanna continue it for next week or the week, or a couple of weeks out?
I can tell you what's going on, if you want. What happened was, he had some work done a while ago on septic, and they ripped up the driveway, and he wanted to put the driveway back over where the septic was at the time. He got advice from his contractor, no, just do septic, don't mix up driveway with septic, you'll never get anywhere. So he said, all right, and just did the
I wonder why he said that.
I know. And then you get bad advice. And then you said, as part of our order of conditions, that all the asphalt was gone. We said, don't put any more asphalt down. And it was in the order. And he came back for an RDA, can I pave where something was paved before? We said, well, the state's been allowing repaving where something's been paved, and we've been allowing it. And lo and behold, he had an order that said no paving, but he was told to do it that way. So like, he had it 6 months ago, put in a septic, now he wants it back. And we said, file it,
He did have it.
He did have it.
Oh, yeah.
And he took it up, and this is he'll give back the little pavement, he'll make it a little smaller. And I said it's...
But our orders say no pavement?
Yeah, they do.
But we wrote the orders after a septic was approved, we write the orders.
Yeah, see, they said they weren't going to put it back.
Yeah.
Because he was told, he claims...
Well, he may have been
Well,
told,
wait a minute.
but he did claim, he did put in that they weren't going to, they had no intention of repaving.
Well, I don't remember the wording.
Well, let's look at those minutes, and why don't we just continue?
Yeah.
We got enough other things on our plate tonight. Can we just continue this? We'll look at the minutes, maybe the applicant can be at the next meeting, should,
Yeah, I don't know if he's applied for the winter or not.
He's not here anymore.
all right, so do we want to continue it out a couple of weeks, out to like... 16?
Right?
All right? Someone will contact them?
I move that we continue this, where are we here? I'm sorry, O'Brien, 19 Kenilworth, to November 16th, at whatever time Penny decides.
No time, it's my
It's an
idea.
RDA.
No time, so
Frank,
November 16th.
One question, when is the end of paving? Is that, are we kicking him out the next year by...
Probably not, he could be doing something in December. They could be
Sometimes
paving
Humrock doesn't even freeze.
early December.
Sometimes it doesn't freeze.
But,
The plant shut down.
Yeah.
The plant's shut down.
but I think,
If it's a road,
but Pat, I think it's important, or Carol, that what we look at is the orders that we issued, and,
I think I have it all ready to go there.
all right, and then, some meeting minutes.
Yeah, that could possibly tell a whole lot.
Because if they said they weren't gonna do it, then there's a little bit more to this, and they may, they may not be worried about the asphalt plant this fall.
Anyway, I move to the 16th.
Have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Bjorklund is here, so why don't we take up Diamond Development, 290 Hadley Road. This was a vote to vote mediation on the bylaw order of conditions.
Let me show you the way. This is...
It's a new plan, yep.
Yep.
New plan.
In the planting plan, Pat.
There's 4 new plans.
Okay,
Plan.
this was
That's a site plan.
without the vegetation.
Right. Just highlighted, there's 4 of those, plus yours. It's slippery.
I'm not gonna count the 50 minutes that you guys took while I was out of the room.
So you're not going to get paid for that. That's all, you're off the clock.
In terms of the length of the meeting, I'm not gonna have that part. It's kinda like the...
I thought we went pretty quick.
It's only 9 o'clock.
The series started an hour early tonight.
Yeah, it started at 7.
Anybody have any idea what's going on?
No, for the size of this agenda, we're doing well.
He's gonna check his phone.
Good job.
I probably could, I can't.
I can check it.
When I get done, I'll check
You
it.
can check it out just about anything.
We've got a colored one.
Here you go. 2 different plans there. One was just a shaded area, that's the site plan.
Right.
And then you have one that has colored
Yep.
stuff. The colored stuff is just the planting plan by Brad Holmes.
Okay, thank you. Now I can understand it then.
2-0, top of the 5th, Cubs.
Cubs.
Here I am working, and he is checking. Yeah, the difference
That's
is the
good.
site plan itself actually has a revision date on the site plan. Brad's plan's still the January 6th plan. On the site plan itself, it says revised. through
Okay, so Steve, just tell me what's different.
Okay. Well, again, I don't know how far back we want to go into it. This is a project that came to the commission, was denied. We requested mediation with the commission, and I did that through Pat, and we agreed to wait until DEP chimed in, gave us a superseding order of conditions. Once we got the superseding order, Pat had said, come back in at that time, so we mediated the other day. Frank was present, Penny was there,
Yes.
town council was there, Pat, myself, and my partner, Mark Winchester. So we asked for certain plan revisions through the commission and town council and Pat, and the majority of it, okay, is actually more shown on the planting plan because it's more significant on the
Bob,
planting.
do you want to see this?
I actually, just for the record, Bob and I did go through this for about 15 minutes before the meeting, so he's seen the plan close up.
Okay, good.
So,
All right.
hopefully, he's welcome to come up if he wants to come up and sit up.
As long as you understand what's going on. Okay.
Yeah. Originally, when we proposed this, because of the sensitivity of the site, we proposed a lot of mitigation to get this in, a lot of planting. And after meeting with the commission at the mediation, they basically requested that we do not go in and upset anything near the back of the lot at all, and instead do some enhancement in these areas beside the house, closer to the street, further from the resource areas. So we went back, we did that, we added in, if you look at the before and the after, I think there were like 9 plants or something in this area before. We've now got 24, so we've more than doubled the amount of vegetation that's going to get added into those areas. It was requested that we put a split rail fence across the back portion of the property at the limit of work, being a continuous fence rather than just a couple different sections. Also, that we add in some conservation restriction posts in there, so we put 3 posts in, that those show on the amended plan as well. And we originally had approved a regular asphalt impervious driveway. The commission asked if we would change that to some type of a pervious surface, whether it be gravel, pavers, or a pervious pavement. And what I'm hoping is that the order would say, as long as it's pervious, it's fine. We don't have an issue with that. The other thing I did add, which I noticed wasn't on the original plan, we do have a little walkway coming from the front door over to the driveway, and that also would be pervious pavers in that area for the walk.
That's about it.
On there, we're limiting the backyard area to not to exceed 20 feet from the back of the house to the furthest most point of the fence. And the fence is actually going to curl. You can see it a little bit on the plan. It's 8-foot sections of fence, and there's basically, at 16-foot intervals, there's a little kink in the fence to kind of keep that looking like it's a little more rounded, I guess. So we're trying to take a very limited amount of area around the house and still make it so that they can kind of walk around the house and perform maintenance and stuff like that on the house. That's pretty much it as far as the changes go. And again, Brad's planting plan pretty much shows what's going to go in that area. And I think that's pretty much the changes. What we're required to do, because we have a superseding order on this site, once the commission takes the vote is really just under the local bylaw, and DEP still has jurisdiction over the whole project because there is a superseding order of conditions. So if the commission votes to allow this work under the local bylaw, then I have to file for an amended superseding order of conditions with the state once your vote is taken. And that's a process that requires more notification and things like that at the superseding level. They have I think it's 85-4 is the DEP policy on amending a superseding order. So I have a copy of that, and that's also been forwarded over to Pat. So once you guys are done, I'll sit back down with Pat and make sure we get that correct. But we actually have to file another notice in the newspaper for that, to get that done. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I appreciate the fact that this was a very difficult site, I really do. We spent a lot of time on it, and I'm hoping that the commission will agree to the changes that we've proposed and that we mediated.
See, there's just one more. There's showing the existing shed.
Oh, yes.
What's going to happen? Is that going to remain?
Yeah, well, I talked to Robert, and from day one in the process, it's a very old shed that's out there. I don't think that we can move it. We would like to give him a new shed, and I'm hoping that the commission will allow Pat and Robert to go out with us and figure out where a nice spot would be. It only sits on cinder blocks, so we'd like to relocate that somewhere where Robert would like to have it, as long as Pat says it's okay.
On his property?
Yeah, on his property. Yep.
So this one's going to get demolished?
Yes, this
or-
one will be removed, yes. There's plantings that are going right where the shed are right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing. The main reason for our denial was based on it being the inner riparian, the riverfront area, the 100. And
Right.
we thought that, DEP really wanted that protected. And then during mediation, we went back to that and we said, gee, if we could get back to that being protected, that would be a good step. And Steve agreed to that. And then we talked about plantings and we talked about limiting the size of the yard. So, I mean, it was actually a true mediation, I thought. I was surprised.
Oh, is that a left-handed compliment?
No, he doesn't want to compliment, that's fine. No, it really was. It was a good mediation, and I think everybody gave and took a little bit, and it was
There was
fine.
some yard waste.
No fists were thrown.
We brought our toughest member, too.
Yeah.
So we have to have a motion and a vote to accept
The mediation.
the mediation?
Yeah.
Results of the mediation, yeah.
And then the whole filing of the amended superseding order will be the next step.
Yeah, but that's not ours for tonight.
Right,
No.
right.
Yeah, we just have to,
Just wanna
do
make sure.
do you agree with what?
Just in case you thought we were done. we're
If you
not.
guys aren't happy with the mediation, you're welcome to
So
go
I've got a
back.
procedural question
Do it
about this.
again.
When you have a superseding order,
Yeah.
and then we vote on this, when
Yes.
you go to, now the state's involved, when you go to get your COC, when this is all done,
Yeah.
how does that work?
We're doing an amended, the amended superseding order goes back into DEP, and it's gonna include a section that's us. We have to write a bylaw.
Right, but I mean,
section.
are they involved with the COC, or the COC comes completely through the town?
They're involved.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, so
Superseding order.
both are, then?
Right, right.
Okay.
Yeah, they keep it if they have the superseding order.
So it's up to them to give them a CSC, not
Yeah, we'd
us.
go out too.
So given their
make sure
track
our things-
record, he could go do whatever he wants.
Yeah, and again, DEP, basically, when you file for the
Does that make you
amended
feel better, Bob?
superseding- But when you file for the amended superseding order, DEP has to look at the impacts of the changes, because usually, people will go in and try and get something greater than what's allowed under their order of conditions. We're coming in with less mitigation, so DEP has to determine that that less mitigation is still going to protect the interests. And I can tell you that informally, they have said it looks like we fall within the realm of amendment rather than a new filing of a notice of intent with them because of the nature of the changes that we've made. So I don't assume there's going to be a problem at the DEP level once this plan shows up with them, just based on conversations.
We went through similar thing with Fieldstone Road there too, where we wanted a bottomless culvert, and the original plan was a pipe, and we had to send stuff into DEP, and then they ruled okay.
Okay.
So, unless anybody...
I guess a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the results of the
Mediation?
mediation with Mr. Bajorquin.
And the reference plans would be the site plan from Ross Engineering dated January 6th, 2016, revised October 24th of 2016,
Yeah, there has to be.
and Brad Holmes' new planting plan,
Yep.
which still holds the date January 6th, 2016.
Yep. What he said. No, I think that's the only way to do it, because you need a reference point.
Carol's not liking that very much.
No, because I don't have that.
Well, that's why I read the date specifically, but there's extra copies of the plan
It's-
for you.
Want it now, Carol?
No.
She just wanted to complain, that's all.
No, I just want to make sure I have
Yeah,
it correct.
yeah, no, that's,
Okay, well,
Moved and
why-
seconded.
I have mine, Carol.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
okay, thank you.
Nay? Okay.
Nay, did you vote nay? Oh, my God.
Yes, I did.
I'm going to stay to beat her up later.
So, Steve, the quick thing then is,
Oh, yeah, at the end of the mediation, town council was present for the mediation. I think the only time he really chimed in on anything was that because of the length of time it takes to get through the DEP process for a superseding order, it's longer than 60 days, so we only have 60 days to file under the local bylaw and appeal to Superior Court. So we did file in Superior Court to hold our position,
Right.
but it took 150 days for DEP to do the superseding order. So town council just asked if we would remove that once this is all settled, and of course the answer is yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're done with that one.
Where did we leave off? Do you want to do orders of conditions?
Yes, we have some. I make a motion that we accept the orders of conditions as written on 365 Chief Justice Cushing. That was a septic. Somebody want to second?
Sorry.
I have to abstain from that one.
You want to take a vote?
All in favor?
Aye. I make a motion that we accept the orders of condition written, as written on that 10th Ave. That was, bringing that
Schindler
building.
Revocable Trust, 15 10th Ave.
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
They have to go to the ZBA for that too. They fall into the flood zone even though they're at elevation 15.
Yeah,
Right.
well, let them go there. I make a motion, we accept the orders as written for 9 Pondview Ave, raise and rebuild, Shea,
Have a second?
as written.
Have a sec- All in favor?
Aye. That was an easy one.
A vote to accept land rear Metacomet Road.
What's that?
It's 2.3 acres or 3 acres. They asked all boards and everybody to comment on it. And my suggestion was, if there's a chance it could be some source of water, some kind of well, you may want to look into that.
Where is it?
Well, Metacomet is off of Scituate Trail.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay, so it's down there.
Pump house or something down there.
Right. We have a
Not far
reservoir.
From the reservoir, yeah, right near there.
Yeah,
so.
it's right on the reservoir,
So
okay.
if nothing else, it protects the reservoir.
And the water
Right against
department
the
doesn't, it doesn't abut their property?
Oh, we're not gonna
I mean, I guess
accept it.
either
I
one,
think
it
they're-
doesn't.
Right. It's up against First Town Brook there, too.
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
But does this mean that conservation is taking over this land?
No.
This has to go to town.
Steve's already looking it up on GPS.
This has to go to town meeting, doesn't
I
it?
think I own that.
No, they can donate, people can donate land.
No, they want to donate it.
Sale, it's just a donation. He'll get it off his tax rolls and the town will get a little protection in the water
Yeah.
district.
I mean, it's a critical area. I think it'd be
Yeah.
crazy for us not to
Yeah.
grab that.
So does the conservation restriction
But
go on
then
that?
who decides that
No.
they can do that? I mean, that they can come off the tax rolls and then...
It came down from the Board of Selectmen, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, so...
We're at the bottom
They
of the
look at it, yeah, oh, yeah.
It already, it came from the top of the food
Okay,
chain.
I was just
It's a
wondering
courtesy. This is
procedurally.
just a courtesy,
Yeah,
look
yeah,
at
okay.
look at this.
Okay.
Okay, motion to accept
Wow.
Are you making it? Are you making it?
Wow.
Do it,
There's
do
a
it.
first.
This is
Zero
good.
Rare Metacomet Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, we're talking about accepting land. You and I have to get out to that piece on Heritage
Yeah.
before Carol
Yeah.
just throws up her hand.
Calls-
Yeah,
Calls a lot, yeah. We were out there and.
I know we were.
Yeah.
We could have looked at it when it was bone dry. All right. Remand vote by bylaw order conditions, BTZ, trust
What
custody.
is going
We
on?
did the vote on this before we could have done it.
Okay.
We were before the date, so now we have to vote again.
We're just eating a lot of crow
What does
tonight.
that mean? Exactly.
The remand, it came back and went to court, came back to us, we sent new bylaw things in to DEP, and now we just have to legally vote to remand the, whatever they say, remand the vote on the bylaw, order of conditions. We've done it already, just to, now is the correct time to do it, so.
So how, what's the motion?
So there's an order, there must be an order out there from the judge saying remanding it back.
Right, it went bounced around a lot.
So, okay.
I don't want to prolong this, but I'm not sure I understand it.
Yeah, we should have legal counsel.
It was.
here. He just said do it.
I think it was appealed under the bylaw, and it wasn't done correctly under the bylaw.
Yeah.
So the judge just kicked it back. I
So
think.
if we remand it, that means nothing happened?
Means we're all done with it.
Do we have to do some more paperwork or not? That's what I
That's what's important to Carol,
want.
yeah.
About 3 or 4.
Which way is less
Yeah, we were told
paperwork?
take a vote. Maybe we have to change the date, just
That's what I'm
resend
wondering.
what we sent last time, yeah.
Yeah, I got one ready, but I just
Well,
don't know.
what is the motion? How do you want it worded?
A motion to remand,
Yeah, we voted bylaw conditions, and we voted them and sent them in, and we did it in the wrong timing. He remanded it back to us, and we have to vote them again.
Is there a
The
specific,
bylaw order?
is there a specific order that says, from the judge, that says anything, or is it just?
No, there is. Legal counsel has it.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
So a motion to remand the vote
Right.
regarding BTZ Realty Trust.
Right, and it mentions in there the order of conditions.
Yeah.
A remand vote?
Remand
Just
vote.
say, accept the order of conditions?
It-
They remanded it back to us, right?
Yes.
This is the wording we got from whoever, Brandon.
Yeah, the judge remanded it to us. I don't understand how we do a remand vote on the bylaw if it was kicked back to us. By
I'm
the
sure
judge
we
after
have to
the
do
appeal.
this, but honestly, I don't know what we're doing, so I'd rather put it off. I'd put it off for a week until we can get something that we can understand.
Yeah, I'd get something from town council, I would.
There you go. Seriously.
Specifically what we're
That-
voting
well,
on.
tells
yeah.
us what we're supposed, what the
We already
motion
voted
is.
on it, we're just re-voting the thing we did last
Yeah, but I'm not
time.
sure I know what we voted
But
on.
we
I'm
voted, we
sorry.
liked it at the time.
Right.
Right.
I'd like to put it off until next week and have a better understanding.
Yep.
Revote the bylaw.
Yeah, agree.
order of conditions.
That's what I thought we,
That's what
it,
sounds
so,
like.
yeah.
Yeah,
That-
revote the, yeah.
I make a motion that we
Vote on the bylaw.
We accept the bylaw order of conditions for VTZ Realty Trust in Costello. We're just
Better get this
revoting
right,
what we
kids.
did before.
Gotta get this right.
Why can't we just say that we approve the bylaw order of conditions for BTZ Realty Trust, Costello? Can't we say something like that?
As previously noted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
Like he said, I second that.
No, he's gotta say it again.
I gotta say it again?
Slowly, so she can type it.
We approve the bylaw order of conditions for BTZ Realty Trust, Costello, lots 31 and 32, Fieldstone.
As previously voted. You said.
Well, I don't want to say it's previously voted because that got booted back to us and we did it incorrectly,
It was, no,
apparently.
it was just the wrong timing.
Oh, all right, that's fine. Whatever you guys want.
As voted.
Okay, so it's seconded.
Now you can
second it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay.
Thanks for digging us
One
out.
abstention, okay.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's BT. BTZ.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Enforcement orders?
Enforcement orders?
We just,
No, wait, we have,
we talked about 174.
What else, Bill?
yeah, no, I got it, all right.
So,
So we've never really had a vote on the one after 174.
You can't even say it.
I'm done. I'm all done with it.
it's good.
I'm not.
I am.
No, I'm done talking about it.
Well,
I'll put it on the
I
agenda.
sent an email, and that's how I feel, that one row of trees need to come out that are in the wrong spot. He has jerked us around since 1999, this all started, and these trees were put in after everything was quote-unquote settled. He was being monitored. The
make a
monitor
motion?
was ready to leave, and whammo, he planted 2 more rows. So take 1 row out and then say goodbye to him. That's my feeling. If we give in, we should not give in 1 inch.
That motion?
I guess.
Well, we have to decide what we're gonna make him do.
I know.
Really?
And
So-
I feel as though 1 row needs to come out. He knows it.
No, I mean, I agree with you if it's,
This has been going on since 1999.
but I guess one issue is it gonna keep going on into
Well-
2017 if
No,
we keep going round and round?
he removes the 1 row, and
Yep.
So then he appeals, he can go back to the state.
he's not going back to anybody.
Well, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about,
I understand what we're talking about, but I'm talking about a principle now.
Oh.
That's what it's coming down to with me.
see how that
It's
flies.
just- But it's just been going on for too long.
this was a deck or a structure or some other,
He almost burnt the whole,
and he spent a lot of time and money restoring a bunch of that. We're down to a couple of rows of trees. We have concrete, we have retaining walls, we have all kinds of things that are built a lot closer. We have a
Fine.
row of trees.
a row of trees is a row of trees.
I thought we wanted trees.
We want them out of the buffer zone.
Leaving sleeping dogs lie.
No, because it isn't a sleeping dog.
I think he fully expected to have to take out a row of trees. We were out there that night. I hope I only lose one row.
Well, let's vote on it and see where it stands, I guess, right?
So we have a motion
I make a
for,
motion, Mr. Kamen removes one row of trees in the 25-foot buffer zone.
do we have a second?
And that's fine.
All right.
All right, I made my point.
Yep. You did. You sure did.
Thank you.
All right, so
Thank you, Penny.
You're welcome.
are we doing Gillespie?
None of them have it. No, I know. I'm glad I grew up with three older brothers.
So Gillespie, are we gonna pursue that, or are we happy with the results of what we did?
Yeah, I think if we get the report from Josh Bose, and he concurs with Greg's stormwater changes, then the plantings have been put in, we may want to get a little escrow money in case the plantings all die over the winter.
Yep.
So we're not doing an enforcement order for that?
Well, no, this, it
Already
could put
done.
down there, that's how it started. It was an
Okay.
enforcer. So now he's trying to, close up the work.
Come out of it, yeah, okay, I get you. So these are more updates than anything else?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve?
Were you gonna finish, Kamen, by making another motion to allow him to keep all the trees and fill in what he did for wetlands, and that's okay? Or is it done? I mean, her motion didn't carry, I'm just wondering if you have to, if you guys have to vote to say it was okay for him to
Do what he
do
wants.
whatever he did.
Well, what's the status right now? Do we have,
We're under an enforcement order.
okay,
And he restored, he did the plantings, most of them died or were taken over by Phragmites. And, we said, we're gonna go out there one more time, we're gonna get the line in place, and then we're gonna tell you what the final step is.
I would think you'd have to make a motion that says what he's done is okay.
And then the extra row went in after that?
No,
No, the road's been there for a long
three
time.
rows have been in a while.
All right. So the...
This was a fairly large violation.
Yeah, it was a pear tree farm or something?
Yeah.
he was clearing the wetlands.
And he had to pull this all back.
So we pulled it back to what
Got
our
that, too.
enforcement
And
order
it
asked him to do?
was supposed to be a 25-foot buffer between the wetlands
Yep.
and the first row of trees. And we went out there recently and we measured it, and there's a row of trees that are 20 feet rather than 25 feet from that wetland.
Okay.
So the question is at this point, do we make him remove that other row of trees to hit the 25? Or are we
vote
going
to
to
accept-
allow those to remain?
But there was a 50-foot buffer that got eased up to 25 along the way, so there's a lot within the 50. And the previous agent worked with him and got it to 25, right? We'll get it to 25, but that's as far as we're going.
And when he was done with the monitoring,
Yeah.
and he plants more trees, so.
My only thought, I'm not gonna say anything more on this, is
I doubt
go
it.
after people for
I hope
a
he
sauna
puts more in.
tube on a beach.
Circle, right.
And next time we go after someone on a sauna tube on a beach, when guys wiped out acres of wetland, we're not on solid footing, I don't think.
Well, I think they did restore a bunch of it. We're not talking about a structure or a building, we're talking about planting of trees.
But
Which
what's
is-
restored, it's Phragmites, the whole thing is
We didn't, he wasn't, this is the wetlands line, well, then if you want to do that, if you want to say to him, all right, you haven't completed your restoration, and you want to go back and make him do more restoration in that area, then do that.
Except it would be impossible to get rid of all that Phragmites. I mean,
And when you take out this other row of trees and the Phragmites grow up to that, where are we? I understand that you're trying to prove a principle, that someone shouldn't go in and alter those pieces without having to pay the consequences. And I think they certainly have. I mean, it's been painful for both sides. You know, it's wasted a lot of commission time, but they've also had to hire consultants. We've gone through all these countless back and forth with this, and we're down to something that we'd like to.
we paid the last $1,400 to get the engineer out there to measure the thing out of our budget, out of our town budget.
Penny, I agree with everything you say, 100%. The only thing I'd like to add, and I understand like what Frank's saying, being pragmatic, we have people with seawalls in the South River who have done that.
Well,
and done
that's
nothing,
exactly
and things
what's
like
going to
that.
happen. If it goes on long enough, they get what they
But
want.
we're going to punish the guy who's done a lot of work on the enforcement order. And I'm not, you are right.
But
You're
he
totally
went-
right. But I could make a list of people who have done nothing. They
I
have come in here,
understand
they've
that,
done-
and they probably will,
We're
never will.
we're not on them, and this is, you're completely right in everything you say.
I'll be on the North River or the South River, whichever it is, in a heartbeat, but supposedly the states took it away
No,
from
the
us.
the state's not doing anything.
Well,
And
I can't overstep
Yeah.
them.
Well, we can't rely on the state. We have to do our own thing. The state does
It's just
nothing.
the wishy-wash. Let's
So-
move on. Do what you want with him. We have other things to do.
Yeah,
The only purpose for my bringing that up is just to have the 5 voting members that didn't vote on Penny's side, not to open it up for discussion. I think the 5 of you need to just make a motion that it's
Yeah.
okay if that's the way the vote is going to go. Just to close it out.
but just so that we're clear on some of these things, because we just finished up this with your project, okay? So we have a location where a lot of the commission members felt that a house didn't belong, all right?
Yeah.
And we felt that we were right about that, and we went to the state to do that, and the state determined that we were incorrect, just like they determined that the wetlands crossing at Fieldstone was wrong. Okay, these are fairly significant pieces. You're talking about a row of trees, and you think that you're gonna somehow change it. I think you're wasting your time. We have so many more things to do here. Maybe we could have gone back to Steve and say, push your lawn back 10 more feet. That doesn't belong there. We look at this thing and we say, what is the most practical way to deal with this?
Just when the next call comes in for dear Mr. Kingman, you take care of it. That's all I'm going to say. Don't anybody call me, because
Okay.
I'm not going near it.
I'm fine going there.
That's fine.
That's fine. Go ahead. So make your motion and let's move on. Got better things to do.
Okay.
Somebody do it.
So is it a motion not to pursue the
Well, we didn't do
To
anything.
to accept the work that he has done as a result of the
Okay.
enforcement order that was issued.
Okay. Second that.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Now move on. That's all.
Mr. Carter will be filing a notice of intent. He pulled out a bunch of stuff. He wants to keep some stuff, and we said file, and we'll tell you what you can keep and what has to go.
Okay.
This is down on Pondview with Mitchell where.
Oh, that's the guy with the fence.
Yep.
Yeah. And he may not own the property, so he may have other issues
There's that.
going on. So,
And our friends on Webster Street?
Yeah, wait a
what's the
second,
latest
what's
on
Ocean's
that?
Wiki?
Webster Street.
We met with legal counsel on this, and
Oh, the filing.
there may have been an incorrect filing with the court by the applicant's representative. So our legal counsel is seeing if that will bide some time, and we'll see if we can get DEP to take another look at this.
Okay. And then we gotta do Candlewood again?
No.
No, that's,
But that's okay, Steve will bring it up again.
Hey, here's a chance.
I don't know if the.
Well, it's just listed twice here. I don't know if Carol wanted to make, she knew that we were gonna have to revisit it, so she,
Yeah, right.
let's go.
Now,
all right, Duffy,
Yeah.
271 Central Ave, speaking of ongoing.
No, we made progress.
We're making progress.
Really?
Really have, yes.
Yep.
Even
That was
Lisa,
a-
even Lisa would agree with that if she
That
were
was,
here.
that was going on when you were on the commission, wasn't it?
Yes, so a lot of the debris removed, the driveway's still gravel, she'd like to have it paved, but we said, you gotta go file, don't bother us
And
with
she
that."
said she doesn't even have the money to consider it anyway,
Right.
so.
And some of the trees are growing, and, you know, there could be some plantings, but we left it that she may be able to take the boat floats out of the river, but not put them on the marsh anymore. She's got a spot with rocks she could put them. And the raising of the wall in front of her house isn't on her property, should have to go to DEP, but it's an obstruction, and it changes the course of, you know, stormwater, so. I mean, there's a whole bunch of those kind of walls down there. I don't know what you do about them. There's hundreds of them, and people are trying to keep stone from going in their house. And, but it's what coastal zone management's really trying to get away from, because it's causing channelization of water between houses.
Remember I told you this during-
It is dragging on, but she has made some real efforts and real improvements.
Right.
That
Right.
as I said, even Lisa was with us that day, I think even she agreed.
Right. I can't get them to shake hands, though.
Oh, geez.
and then on the other hand,
Did you stand between them all the time?
We did.
One thing
We did,
is,
but she was good.
is the yard pretty clean? There isn't a
Yeah, it
lot
is,
of junk?
No,
That-
it is.
But that's good.
Yeah, it is. It's
That-
really,
That's
it's
major,
very
because
neat
there
now.
was so much junk
Yeah.
in the yard
No,
that.
it's gone, honest Penny, it's gone.
Yeah, most of it was
Wonderful.
all gone,
It's
yeah.
gone.
Well, some of our people follow the rules, they just,
She's trying. She's not happy about it, but she's trying.
Russo Contractors Yard off New Driftway.
okay, I have a meeting proposed for next week. They're gonna meet with us and.
I saw
I had
that.
to check I was on the road, I have to check my schedule, and I'll do it first thing in the morning.
Okay, because if you can't do Tuesday and Wednesday, he could do Friday.
I could probably do Tuesday in the morning.
I
Okay.
could, Tuesday's the only
Friday
day
I'm
I
out.
could do.
You
Friday, I'm
could,
out.
you could do. All right. Wednesday, we have a hearing. so
If you
that's
need
not good.
Friday, I can probably do Friday.
All right, and the most we could have is probably 2, maybe 3.
Yeah, just if you need someone.
Shoot for Tuesday morning.
I'll
Shoot
be
for
home Friday.
Tuesday morning. That work for,
I could do Tuesday's the only day. I
See how
can
you're
do.
doing for people, I'm sure I can. Tuesday afternoon, I'm probably tied up, but.
okay, but we don't want more than 3.
No, 1-3.
Richard and I could do it
I'm not
on Tuesday
All
morning.
right, all right, why don't I try to get it for Tuesday morning? If
What a great
not,
idea.
is Friday morning the next choice?
I'm not
Not to
around
me.
Friday, but
Oh, okay.
I'm here,
Tuesdays-
I'm here on Friday.
Captain Paul's available on Friday.
Okay, so Tuesday, first choice, Friday, second choice.
Okay,
No,
Right.
Tuesday.
you guys sort it out.
If I want.
Who's on first? 25 Egypt Beach Road.
We're waiting for Morse Engineering to put it onto a plan. The wetland line was flagged by Brad Holmes, and we send reminders every time Bill writes me, I write to them.
Well,
So,
So they're just not
Just
doing
kidding.
anything out there?
no, I don't think so. No.
I have to
Do,
abstain from saying anything.
have you seen the plan? Have you?
No, he hasn't done the plan yet. He's flagged it. I've seen the flagging, but I haven't
So
seen
how,
it.
how far in are they?
Well, it's a little tough to tell because it's flags through the middle of the yard based on soil, so they're in there.
It's flagged in the yard.
Just a lot of places that, by soils, they were probably up in the lawn already.
Oh, I understand that, so whatever they
Half the Bill's
cleared,
backyard's probably in the wetlands.
but whatever they cleared.
He's been
is-
mowing the wells.
They shouldn't
Yeah,
have.
they're into, yeah, they're into the wetland.
Every bit of the clearing has to be replanted then, right?
Yeah, we got an enforcement order and we'll bring them in, but we want to get it on a plan.
Don't worry, Bill, it
first.
happens all the
Oh, So there is an enforcement order?
Oh, well, I think we were waiting to get the information onto a plan and the wetland flag.
So,
Yeah.
but
'Cause you
can I,
need to-
can I ask
It's
this?
gonna go on
Can I
for
ask-
years.
I mean, do we have established timeframes? I mean, how long between step A and step B do we allow?
Years.
Years.
No, we got it flagged within a week.
1999.
Right, yeah, so, no, that, so what I'm asking, so in between A and B?
Yeah, really. Well,
I understand
then
what
he
you're
gives
saying.
it to Greg, who's busy with 1,000 projects, and this has not risen to the top of his thing. So we remind him, we're waiting for it, and we can do more. We can say it has to be in. Give me a date, I'll tell them it has to be in. We'll find the engineering firms. you know.
November 3rd. There's a date. Oh, it's Halloween.
Okay, so we're done with CSCs too?
Yeah, we did those.
Yep.
No, we're not doing those
No,
tonight.
there's some.
Well, I thought,
Certificate of compliance, 6 Peggy Beach Road.
This is Apicella, they had 4 different old projects that were done, and Bob Crawford went out, and all the ones that there was information for have been done according to the plan. There's one where there's no information, but it's a septic, so it's underground, and so we'll assume that
you're
that
gonna
is
give
done.
him a
So you're good with
CSC.
it?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
don't vote on these.
And 138 Edward Foster Road.
Yeah, that's the seawall project that the town did, and I think there may even be one abutter that was part of it.
Greenfield?
Yep.
And
Those-
the main thing I was looking for was whether
all
they get
those
rid of that
ones.
staging area and
They-
clean things up and replant it, and they did, they replanted all beach grass, and I couldn't find a staging area down that side street. People said it was down
They're not
across and they going towards Sunset.
It was all the way down on the end. They cleaned it all up.
Yeah, it's all cleaned up.
We were there. I mean, right where we're having this, you guys are having this hearing now.
Oh, it was right across.
Where she has the mower parked and the boat and all that stuff was the staging area.
Oh, okay. I was looking at that street that comes right
It
up.
wasn't
from
so
the
much,
wall.
there wasn't gravel or anything, it was all,
I
the
hate
rebar and some of the
Okay.
form work.
That's funny.
So it's over on the McLean
Oh,
side then?
yes.
Yeah,
Oh, I was looking, you know, the little side street straight across from the beach?
yeah.
I looked down there, I thought it was,
No,
it
no.
was closer.
No, it was all the way down the end of Sunset Road. But what it was all the rebar that went into those forms, and there was some, like,
So that's probably all gone
yeah,
right now, because.
yeah, there's no debris from that.
This is Jeremy at CLE, so.
Yep. Their other staging area was Peggy Beach parking lot, but I think that's all cleaned up too, right? That was their main
For
area.
that project there too?
That's where the bulk of their equipment was.
I don't think, we were down there.
That's right.
I
that's
didn't
right.
see anything.
They were way out to the right.
That's
in the
right.
Back, yeah. They had a big crane or something.
They had all kinds of equipment there. That's really where the staging area was.
Okay. So
The other one at the end of Sunset wasn't one that we had approved. We had approved the one at
Right,
Peggy
right.
Beach, but we had not
Wanted it
approved.
done before the winter.
Right.
Starts getting flooded.
Yep.
And there's 2 that we added. There's. that we
100 Greenfield?
No, that's
Yeah.
not ready.
246 Gannett.
246 Gannett was the pier and dock out off of Gannett.
Oh, yeah.
And they came to us first, and it was CLE, and I think it was,
They're tying up the
Ross.
Queen Mary out there. They got enough piles to,
Well, what happened, they brought a plan to us, we approved it, then they got to chapter 91, they said, no, this doesn't meet our standards. and they-
Great.
They made it smaller though.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that was the one that went out
Yeah.
to Mars for a mile, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
But
exactly.
Adam sent you a letter yesterday or today.
yes, so we got the revised
Yeah.
plan, and it's smaller, so
Yeah.
all we have to do is say, yeah, vote to accept the revised plan.
imagine that.
I know. But it's whatever chapter 91 wants, I mean, they're
But he
still there
told
for
us, they told us that they had to have all that big
Yeah,
stuff.
As a matter of fact, we asked them to make it smaller and lighter. Yep.
Right.
Right.
But why they don't go to them first? Because they're the ones that
Right.
regulate all of
They're,
this.
they're the absolute end all,
They
yeah.
might ask for them to go to us first.
I was, or they said,
Right.
you know, hey, conservation said yes.
Yeah, then there's a,
They go in circles for years and not get.
Right. In fairness to them, though, if you look at most docks, what they require, like, it's, you know, applicants could save a lot of money if they could build them a lot smaller, but a lot of them are
Well, if you're on a,
driven pilings all the way out.
Plans were gorgeous. Yeah, I mean, that's really state-of-the-art stuff,
Yeah, they have a lot of lighting there, Lon.
Yeah,
They went
exactly
way
right.
high above.
Yep. And then the spacing in between and,
Yeah. Okay, then there's another one.
Do they need to vote to accept that or not?
No, not,
Wait.
Yeah, revised plan.
oh,
vote to.
we haven't got it yet.
You haven't seen?
It got emailed to you. Do we have a,
I don't have
might
it.
have a
It didn't
paper
email
copy?
it to me.
It's just a smaller, exact
So
same
what is it?
thing, a
Yeah.
little smaller.
Make a
I'd
motion
accept-
to accept the revised
Yeah.
plans of Gannett Road dock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was emailed to everybody
All
today.
right.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
And I think we have one left is Turner Road, 129 Turner Road, Hans Marquardt. This is one, Frank, I sent to you, it was more of a building kind of question, and complicated. He got his notice, he elevated, now he wants to do a deck, but the deck is pretty close to the abutter's house, and it was never a hearing about this deck. So he has an order, and I just kind of wrote down, should he amend the order by a notification of abutters? And, we approve the plan or do we do a revised plan? But I don't like that because it doesn't let abutters know.
What is the problem with it? It's too close to neighbors?
Yeah,
I know that the town allows you to build right up to the property
But
line,
the
so.
neighbors should have the right to have a hearing,
But-
I think.
Why are we involved in it?
Because you
it's
have to
in
touch the ground for the
flood
footings.
zone, yeah.
Oh, it's in the flood zone? I don't even know where it is.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's on Turner Road.
The elevated old house.
So it's not the fact that he's close to the neighbors, it's the fact that, yeah, I get
Right.
it, okay.
Right.
So his orders are still open.
Still open. Here's his plan for this piece of it. I think he did it this way because when you go to FEMA, you can't make a bigger footprint.
Right.
They get confused if you put a deck. I think afterwards you can do it that.
Yeah, well, if he's in the grant program, they can't make it any bigger.
Right.
So why doesn't he just amend his, give us an amendment for his orders?
Okay, that was
Yeah.
one of the options. So an amended order will re-advertise.
Yep.
Yeah, because from our standpoint, it's just footings.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But a neighbor might say, and I know for a fact that he is.
Right, but the reality is, they can come in and say, I'm against it, and he's
Right.
gonna get to put it up because it complies with zoning.
At least he gave him a chance to have their say.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Well, we give them the chance.
Okay.
Anything else?
Is that it?
No, I think that's it.
I think that's it.
It looks like it.
I vote that's it. I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.